Welcome to South Harmon.
Yeah. Wednesday AMA. We are live and in the building. Adam, I don't know what the weather is like over where you are, but we have a blizzard today. For fuck's sake. Yeah, not good.
It's funny because it was really bad. Today warmed up, but I know as I look at the reports and hearing that from you, it's on its way over here now again. My wife actually on Tuesday, they had a cold day, so they were off for Martin Luther King on Monday. It was literally. So Mike, I went and did my cold days are crazy, right? Because it seems insane, but I went and did my parents because they're out of town and my grandparents drive. Buddy, it was so cold that my hands halfway through, I had to go inside just to it was actually at -8, and then wind chill feels like minus 30 something. It was absolutely freezing.
Barry's already put in the chat minus 50 degrees the next couple of days up here, and
now Barry lives north of us, so it's got to be craziness.
Well, I got to do this Celsius to conversion thing. What
exactly.
Is minus
that used to get me too. I'm like, hold on, minus 50, no wind chill. But what
minus 58 in Fahrenheit.
It's not warm.
Holy shit balls. Well, Friday they're calling for -40 in the wind chills, not the actual air temperature. I've never even seen anything close to -58 in American.
I just told you in wind chill here when we had a cold day, my wife did, and it was minus 36, 34, something like that.
Well,
and it was freezing. Man. It was freezing. I'm not gonna lie.
We're supposed to have another one of those on Friday here, a real cold one. So maybe the kids will get a cold day.
Look, Tom, who's even further north. Yikes, DB. We better nicer than that. I mean, that's.
Here's the real rub.
Okay.
We live in the Midwest area, right? Like we're used to cold days. This is still cold. All right, it's still ridiculous. Blizzards still suck. Okay, it's not like we enjoy them. All right. I had a great plan, right? Friday, it's going to be brutally cold. I'm traveling to Atlanta this weekend, just for a weekend, just for a weekend work thing. Going to go down there, hang out in Atlanta. I was anticipating, damn, Georgia, it's going to be negative whatever the fuck here. Yeah, Georgia. I'm going down to Georgia. It'll be nice down there. Here's the thing.
It won't be.
Delta just sent me a confirmation. We may or may not be able to get you back because they're going to have an ice storm.
Well, I'm not going to say they can at times, right? Because they don't get that typically as often as we do up here in the Midwest, and certainly where DB's at up in Canada. They may be a little ill prepared, so hopefully, you get on that plane.
Very ill prepared. All I can say is on Sunday.
What up, Andrew?
If the flight's still going on Sunday, but the issue is the travel to the airport, I'm gonna tell that motherfucking Uber driver, I got this. Okay, look at the shirt. All right, I'm used to it. You get in the back, I'll drive this motherfucker there.
Let me show you how this works.
You leave the airport, you might have to stay there. I don't give a shit, but I'm getting on this plane.
I love that. Yeah, Mike, speaking of freezing cold, out of these hirings, are there any that you think are freezing cold takes or hires?
There's a lot of freezing cold takes and hires going on here, Adam. Where would you like to start? There's some fire ones too.
There's
some fire hires, but
I've got 4 graphics pulled of so far. So let me ask you. Well, I don't want to say these are freezing cold, but let's start with Salah, right?
Okay.
I don't know. I'm looking at this team. I'm seeing what he did as a head coach, and I'm feeling like I want Cam Ward to have someone to unlock him. So I'm not going to say Salah can't be a good defensive mind, but this team, I guess, also he's wearing the Jets here. Okay, I didn't find any that had him in Titans gear yet, or that were AI changed. Mike, I guess I'm looking at the Titans situation as, while Cam Ward's a nice piece to build around, as far as the complete team, maybe the biggest cleanup. So it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's a tall order for him, honestly.
It is you wanted to see a dynamic, young offensive mind take over for Cam Ward.
Exactly.
But the one thing I say is the saving grace is at least some of these defensive head coaches that we're going to get hired in. And I'm going to I'm going to write off Salah's time at the Jets because it's the fucking Jets, okay? When's the last time we had somebody who did well there? Rex Ryan. Like, there you go. Like, go back to Sexy Rexy was the last time the Jets were really relevant. The good thing about Salah, and I think I brought this up when talking with Fizz about head coaches a few weeks back, was he's got a lot of really good offensive mind connections for all his time in San Francisco with Shanahan. And pretty much anything that comes out of this Shanahan, McVay, LaFleur tree, like this conundrum that you have there, are good offensive minds that know what the hell they're doing. And if their only job is to run an offense while he has to manage the whole team, I still have faith that this can be a good thing for Cam Ward. While it's not, oh shit, Mike McDaniel's, going to run Tennessee. This is awesome. There's a potential where you get a Mike McDaniel-ish type offensive coordinator and mind in there. I don't know where he's leaning. The last reports I saw this afternoon when I was kind of looking around, as an Eagles fan.
They left you feeling not the greatest, right? Thank you.
It's not that they left me feeling not the greatest. As an Eagles fan, like it was rumored that Dable was going to be our guy. That's who was going to come in. Now, Dable left without a fucking deal and has taken other interviews, so that kind of signals Dable's not the guy. There is a lot of Dable connections with Salah and the ownership that he has there. So, I mean, if you got a Brian Dable to run Cam Ward on that offense, like
that would make sense.
That's a plus. That's wheels up.
Sense.
Like I feel good about it. Now it's it's not a home run, Kubiak, it's not a McDaniel, anything like that, but that's still a pretty plus hire in my opinion. I still have faith for. So until we get clarity on who he's bringing in there, if it ends up Matt Nagy, off me, okay?
Well, I mean, because honestly, that's the thing is, Mike, without knowing the OC yet, it's I don't know. Consider me at this moment doubtful, I guess I would say, because
hesitant.
Yeah, certainly hesitant would be a better probably word to doubtful's probably true, but hesitant at the moment I think is correct. Mike, I think the other thing is too, right? Before we can get to that, sometimes there's really great coordinators and they're not necessarily good head coaches, and I don't want to say one stint proves that here, but that's another reason for my doubt is we may end up finding out. Let's say this is successful. We may find out that the Jets is an absolute disastrous dumpster fire, right? Maybe that's the case. I also could see, man, you got a total rebuild here. You got a coach that has not necessarily done it as a head coach, and we're like, all right, it's almost been proven now that this guy's a very good defensive mind. The head coaching thing isn't necessarily his cup of tea.
That's very true, and it happens a lot, like a lot. We can give mucho examples of it, right? You're looking at like Vic Fangio, Eagles defense coordinator, phenomenal defense coordinator.
Perfect example.
Never worked out as a head coach. Josh McDaniels with the Patriots tried multiple times. Not good.
Do you remember when before McDaniels went to Denver, how it was like if anyone can ever get McDaniels, oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing, right?
Yep.
And
no, it wasn't. Steve Spagnuolo for the Chiefs runs a fantastic defense, not a great coach. Your defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, fantastic coordinator, not a great head coach. Happens all the time. And odds are Salah probably falls into that category, maybe. But
my hesitance, my doubts, right, is lying
understandable.
There.
But if I'm going to have any kind of hopium
Brian
about
Flores,
him,
another good call.
If I'm going to have any kind of hopium about it, it's like, well, at least your first stop was the Jets, okay?
Right.
Give you a slight pass.
That's where
nobody does shit there.
Correct. Well, Mike, I think I guess TBD still. The OC will be a big part of this. Let's go ahead and let's Tennessee's kind of warming up a little bit. It's still cold hire, I think. They realistically weren't going to get the primo names, I don't think, though, at the same point, right? So let's go ahead and talk a little bit down a lot further south. How cold is it in Miami?
This one felt pretty cold to me.
This one felt odd.
I thought he did a fantastic job the last couple of years running the Packers defense, even before the Michael Parsons thing, and then managing it after the Michael Parsons thing. It's not like the defense completely fell apart. I thought he was a very good defensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. His head coaching experience, though, is at the college level, and kind of like the Jets, it was Boston College. Like, who fucking Bill O'Brien had a lot of success in the NFL and goes to Boston College to like fix this thing, and I don't know, it's just still, who gives a shit? Sure. Like, so he didn't do well at Boston College, but how many people really are going to do well?
Well, here's the thing. Most people don't do well at Boston College. That being said, I did just see a guy go into the losingest program in college football history and win it all. So coaching does matter. I mean,
but he's kind of a unicorn and a badass.
Of course, but Mike, aren't we hiring 32 potential trying to find unicorns? I mean, isn't that the goal here, to find those guys? It's 32 jobs.
It is. I don't really know what to make of it. And listen, this doesn't really hurt anybody on the offense because the offense is shit anyways. Like, it is. After they lost McDaniel, it was like wheels down for everybody. Even Achane, as good as he is, it's like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Whoever the fuck the next guy is, I don't think they're going to use him in the exact same way or have that much success that they had under McDaniel with Achane. So even that was like, might want to knock him down a round in dynasty value. Like, I'd rather miss out on, wow, I was wrong and it wasn't a drop off at all, than spend what it's going to cost to get him and be like, fuck, I was right. This really sucks. Now nobody really wants him. Like, I'm good. So I didn't really like this hire anyways. I thought it was kind of like, who cares? And for just fandom's sake, man, I wanted Chris Shula there so bad. Like, give me give me his grandson. I don't.
Here you go.
I want Halfley.
Here you go. Yeah, Halfley felt, honestly, Mike, it felt. I don't know. I mean, I guess you never. I never want to be definitive about things, but Mike, do you think they got the sense that they were not going to get other people? Do you think they got blown away by this guy in the hiring process? I want to believe it's one of the two, right? They felt like they weren't, they were getting told by people that they maybe had a higher priority. No. And it's like, all right, well, this is our guy. Let's left. Or, I mean, you have these weird ones where it's like, dude, they just got blown away in this interview and he said everything they needed to hear to make them believe he's their guy.
So at the beginning of the year, we thought, man, McDaniel's going to get fired. Like, he's going to get fired. And then they went on this incredible run.
It was crazy. Remember Halloween stream? I had a whole thing queued up for his firing, and they win that week, right?
Bring it back. And they bring it back.
And then it's like, all right, well, he might end up surviving everything. What's crazy was, Mike, when they got rid of him, the timing to me felt like, oh, they might think they're going to get a Harbaugh, right? And then Tomlin's available, and then now also McDermott's available, right?
I would say out of the open positions that are around there, Miami might have been the least attractive outside of the city and the weather.
Just going to say, personnel-wise, it didn't feel
and ownership. And ownership. Let's not forget this.
That's fair.
We had our boy Andrew bring up Brian Flores, right? Let's not forget that.
It's 100% fair. I was meaning that there's a lot of attraction to Miami, the city and the bright lights and that, right?
That's it. But there's nothing in personnel. Like, the roster is not good. They don't have ridiculously high draft picks. They don't have a shit ton of cap space. Like, they have the opportunity to create it. They don't really have an answer at quarterback at all. We don't know what the hell's going on there. And the ownership is poop. Like, the Brian Flores situation, for all we think about it, that ended horribly in a fucking lawsuit, for Christ's sakes, in a lawsuit against the ownership for wrongful termination. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, Brian Flores won that one. Right? Like, he was vindicated a little bit. There
was enough. I think there was enough there that, it certainly wasn't by the letter of the law,
Yeah. So I'm on the scale of, good jobs to bad jobs. I thought this was a bad job, and it feels like a guy who, listen, I want to take the next step in my career, and it's kind of one of those things. If you're not going to be able to grow at your dream company, sometimes you just got to take the job to get to the next job, right? Like, if he goes down there and has any kind of success in Miami, was come contract time, he might be like, I don't know if I really want to come back, man. Like, I don't know if I really want to come back. I might want to go somewhere else. I don't like the ownership or whatever it is. Or if in 2 years they end up firing him, which is probably the case, right? He might be able to at least sell, hey, I took a terrible franchise that had nothing and we were semi-competitive. You know, it just wasn't to the level they were expecting, and sell it to somebody else and become the next retread. So I don't know, for the guy, he definitely got a pay raise. He gets the opportunity to run his own company, basically, and mold it how he wants. But yeah, it was probably a terrible situation to begin with. I definitely didn't get any better. Didn't give me any more hopium with his hire.
Yeah, I mean, Eric put this, and as did Andrew, and John Eric Sullivan, the guy literally has 2 names with a hyphen in it. John Eric Sullivan is the new GM, right?
So it makes me hate you.
Well, and certainly, right? It's not a name you'd like to read or have to deal with. But honestly, I think, there's a lot of say what you want, but in life you don't have to like it. But there's nepotism, right? Which is the family thing, right? You want to hire your family, and then you hire the people you like or you trust, or you work with, and and whether you like that or not, I think that's to me it's I think it was a blown away in the process, but that the GM kind of had this guy as, his front runner, so to speak. He would have had to have somebody come in and, probably beat halfway out. And I don't know, man. It feels very weird, to be honest with you. It feels like if I had to pick one of these, Mike, that is a short-lived stint because of the fact that the roster needs so much cleanup, because of the fact that the ownership is, I'm not going to put him in the Browns camp, but not in the high-end camp of ownership and Halfley's track record / what he's done on paper, at least for me. This would be one that I have as the most closer to the short-lived of if I was betting on that, right?
Yeah, maybe doesn't survive next year.
Yeah, a couple years. I would go a couple years. Give me the under on 2, Give me the under on 2 full seasons.
We'll take that. I'll take that under.
This will be a phenomenal sound clip too, if they end up being amazing, right? And
it's like Kirk Signetti turnaround.
Exactly.
In Miami.
Yeah, exactly. So, we got those out of the way. Let me ask you, who was your favorite to get the Falcons job, and what do you think of Kevin Stefansky, guy at work? I used to work with Buck. I would call him Stefansky. Always drive me crazy. Love it.
So when this first started, I know we did an episode a couple weeks ago talking about it, and I just had these 2 flip-flopped, right? But probably the 2 best jobs at the time, before everything really started to get fucking wild and crazy. I had Stefanski to the Giants and Harbaugh to the Falcons, but Stefanski to the Falcons is A-okay by me. A-okay by me, having him there. We'll see what he wants to do with his quarterback situation. I do believe it's going to be Michael Penix, but, the Kirk Cousins thing looming over the roster, if they can't move him or trade him or anything like that, or the medicals on Penix don't come back glowingly this offseason as he rehabs his injury. I mean, either way, Stefanski running that offense, Kyle Pitts, if he comes back, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, whatever they end up doing in the draft, as far as, they don't have their first rounder because they traded that thing away for James Pierce, but they got that defense up and running and popping last year. Now you bring in an offensive-minded guy. I don't have to deal with this Raheem Morris fucking shit no more. I don't have to deal with the defensive head coach. Now they spent all that draft capital on offense for years, then they shifted to defense. Now you get to see a complete full team, and good for Stefanski to get his way out of Cleveland, out of that situation, and be like, ooh, look at this, an upgrade, a semi-competent organization with good pieces around it that I don't have to worry about. So I like it. I like it for the entire offense. We'll see what happens with Tyler Algier, whether he gets brought back or he leaves in free agency. This could be absolutely a barn burner year for one Bijan Robinson. Not that this past year was that bad. I mean, for a while there, it was a battle of who's going to finish number 1 in WARP for almost all leagues. But you could have an absolutely ludicrous, ridiculous year out of Bijan in 2026.
Certainly. I think, hear me out here on this, right? You think about the Browns, I think, in their heyday under Stefanski. Now, say what you want about that, but the heyday to me was the Baker Mayfield years, okay? And the Baker Mayfield years, if you remember, we had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, right? And I'm not going to say that Kareem Hunt and Tyler Algier are the same, but I could see the scenario where they use those two in a tandem that is at least as good as what we've seen this last year and possibly better. I think the other thing that's really interesting is Kyle Pitts to me, because this is a guy that loves 12 personnel and loves his tight ends, right? Mike, I got to be completely honest with you. I don't know that I ever truly left. I maybe have doubts. I maybe left a little bit, right?
He's back.
But I am so fucking back on the Kyle Pitts bandwagon. This, in my opinion, was not talked about at all, but and even thought about by myself or said. After the hiring, oh, buddy, if they re-up Kyle Pitts, fucking to the moon, to the absolute fucking gigantic moon.
Listen, and he's still valued very attainably. Let me just say that. So last night I did a startup mock draft with Seth Dewald on his channel. They had some fellas over there. We got some South Harmon members in there. Mock draft, tight end premium, just your run-of-the-mill Superflex shit. I think Kyle Pitts, Adam, was an 8th round startup pick. 8th round. At that fucking price with Stefansky and the way Kyle Pitts finished the season. Listen, I don't even have to be as back as you are. I don't have to bring the unicorn wings back and the big fat head that you had made up for him and the jerseys. I don't need all that shit. But 8th round price.
I'm not going to lie. That not only do I lose the unicorn, did I lose the unicorn fat head, knockoff, ripped up my damn wall. That's how bad it hurt. But I'm back, okay?
It took pieces of your home with you.
The drywall even came off. But, Mike, I think I don't know. I think this is a good call, too. I could definitely see a franchise tag in order. But, Mike, I think if Kyle Pitts is retained here, and I can't imagine he lets a guy like Kyle Pitts go. He's liked guys and typically has used guys that are a little more traditional in the sense of blocking. But I feel like the pairing here and what he's able to do with a talent like him, I just think about where Njoku was as far as being written off and what Stefanski did with Njoku. And tell me, everybody, that doesn't get you fucking rock hard, okay? We can all talk about we don't need a blue chew for that, okay? We don't need one.
You don't need one for that. Do we have any idea? I'm Googling it here real quick. Tight ends in the 2026 free agent class. Kyle Pitts.
I mean, he's the only one that comes to mind, honestly, that's of consequence.
Chig.
Is Chig? Okay.
Oh, here's one to keep in mind. Just throwing this out there.
Shoot it.
David Njoku.
Buddy. Well, wait a minute.
Could you say Timon? Timon is right.
Is he actually? Did the Browns opted out?
David Njoku. Free agent.
So they cut that can't be right.
So this is listed as a void year, so it doesn't count anything against them.
Wow. So that's interesting.
I'm just looking on Spotrac. It's just how it's listed. So David Njoku's up there. Isaiah Likely, Cade Otton, Dallas Goedert, Noah Fant.
Yeah. So they voided that. That's an interesting decision. See, this is another thing about Andrew Berry. Mike, I talked about this with Money Moves at the beginning of the year and how they you can see they take on $24 million in dead cap. Man, the Browns are a fucking dumpster fire. We can talk about that later. Who don't have a candidate hired yet? But wow, they already did that.
So his boy, David Njoku,
they're taking 24. They're taking $24 million to get rid of David Njoku's an absolute disaster.
Wild. But let's just throw that out there. You said his affinity for 12 personnel. Could you franchise tag?
Oh, I mean,
Kyle Pitt
they could
sign David Njoku.
They could absolutely. I think that would be the only downside is he does tend to like to have two, and so there's a certain opportunity for them to bring in Njoku, buddy, 100%.
Dude, this could be the ultimate. They do.
Let me ask you, what if they bring in Njoku on like a 1-year deal too? What do you think about him coming in and also working with Kyle Pitts though, and some of the blocking, some of the things that he learned.
I wouldn't mind it. David Njoku's a willing blocker. Kyle Pitts not so much. Mm-hmm. I think they complement each other very well. And it's not like we have a wide receiver 2 situation in Atlanta currently, unless they do something in free agency or they get a nice 2nd round pick or something like that.
Which I kind of expect too.
I would expect them to address it at some point, but it just may not be anything that's sexy. It might be like a Mac Hollins type, okay. Just a solid NFL guy, but nobody gives a shit for fantasy. So it would open up a meaningful role for a number 2 tight end to actually produce.
What's your thoughts here? What would the tight end premium have to
one?
be to trade away the 112 for Pitts? I think I would do that in like a 1.5 even.
I think I'd do that even in a no tight end.
In a standard? I was going to say that, but it felt egregious. I think I'm in. The 112 in this particular class, I think I'm in.
I do think we're going to end up with some gems, and the 112 is going to look sexier.
I'm not trying to hate on the 112 too much. I'm with you there too. But I think Pitts at the back end of the first is worth the shot for sure.
Yeah, I think even in non-tight end premium, I think I'd be willing to let that go. Now, obviously, for me, Javonic, I wanna hold that. I wanna hold that until the
AMA is
it gets a little more.
The question part typically is supposed to be a little later here, but I'm gonna fire off a couple. Abso-fucking-lutely. Yes.
208 and 210. Yes.
God, yes. In a hurry.
Yes. I'm good. Yeah.
But yeah,
I like this Stefanski hire.
I like the Stefanski hire a lot. I think, Mike, when you think about what he's gotten done with the Browns, their season with Baker where they make it to the playoffs. They didn't win the division. All right, granted, at that point it was a really great division. They beat the Steelers in the playoffs. You think about them going to the playoffs with Flacco, albeit they got absolutely drubbed in that game versus the Texans. This is a guy that's overachieved with a lot of shitty quarterback play. And you tell me right now that whether it's Penix or, there's a year in between where they don't have, his guy at quarterback. I think, to me, the weapons they have, what's kind of in place as far as the personnel, and to me, I hope at least, there's a little bit more of a connection here where it's like, hey, we've seen what you've done, 2-time coach of the year in Cleveland. It's basically almost impossible, right?
Yeah.
We're going to give you a little bit of say here. We want to know what your guy is. If you remember, the Watson thing, what was so weird about it was Watson, in the way that he played, was not really under center much and not in the way in which Stefanski likes to run his offenses. And it felt like ever since that, they were trying to pigeonhole Stefanski into doing things that wasn't really his way. I hope that they're able to find a way to let Stefanski have a little bit of say, running the offense how he wants to, what he's best at, and utilizing the players and personnel in that way. And I think there's a pairing right now with all the personnel at the moment that fits very well with what he wants to do.
I want our good friend Dynasty Jake to cover his ears. All right,
Dynasty
if he's
Jake.
listening.
Yeah, don't listen. Okay, this is earmuffs.
Your 2026 NFC South Division champions, the Atlanta Falcons.
Jake. Well, not if Baker has anything to say. Did you see his tweet? Speaking of Twitter, holy shit.
Baker, you might want to just fix your play on the field first, bud.
Hey Baker. I will say, though, the one thing about Baker, right? Baker is he
thrives off that.
He's such a character, but I was just, Mike, that shit to him is like the opposite of kryptonite. It is like the most empowering thing for him. When he feels like he's been disrespected.
That's his Blue Chew.
It is. Thank you. It's his Blue Chew. It's a great call. Great call.
Shout out Blue Chew. When's our sponsorship?
Hey,
we're of that age. All right,
we're ready.
We need that shit.
Listen, we're ready. We got the shit part covered. The other end, we need you. Okay, Blue Chew.
Got the back. Need the
all
front.
right, we'll get Stefanski out of here. He's I mean, Mike, if you're Stefanski, you know how sometimes in life you look back on stuff. There's an episode I'm getting ready to do highly detailed at some point starting February, and I talk about the pearl and things in life that you didn't think were good at the time, you didn't like at the time, but end up being the best thing for you. I mean, Stefanski leaving Cleveland, getting out of Cleveland, getting to go straight into a head coaching job there. I mean, how quickly the tides can turn, you know? Let's get to Harbaugh, though. How the turds can tide. How about Harbaugh going to New York?
Man, that was the first real big domino that we had, right? Like it was a cascade effect after that, after he decided, and then you started getting news left and right, which I thought we might be holding out just a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. The only thing I'll say about the Harbaugh thing, and I know he says he's going to say all the right things, and people will be like, the Giants is a great place. The minute that Buffalo job opened up, he had to at least have like a moment of like,
well, I saw some of these tweets, and of course they all came from parody accounts, right? But it's like he's trying to get out of it. It's funny. I really wanted to put on McDermott on the thumbnail just because not we kept the coaching at least going 3 weeks in a row, right? But the fact that you said who's next, and listen, this shit actually happened, right?
It actually happened. Holy hell!
We got a guy fired. Man, there's 4 teams left. I mean, is there going to be another?
One more.
Can we get another one out of this? I mean, I will say though, right? Yeah, the Buffalo job opening is crazy. We'll get to that in a minute here.
Yes.
But Mike, let me ask you this right now, before we get to the Buffalo job opening. Before that, which I think he makes the decision not really seeing or knowing that. Okay.
Yep.
Do you think this was the job for him, number 1 on the list? He doesn't go to Atlanta, obviously. Stefanski gets hired shortly after. But, and do you think maybe just the New York thing, right? I mean, some people are very, very high on the city of New York and being in the Big Apple and all that stuff.
Yeah. He also gets to get away from his brother as far as playing in the same conference, which I'm sure he would enjoy, other than the idea
the idea of them being able to meet in the Super Bowl. I mean, can you imagine that?
Yeah. You get the Harbaugh Super Bowl. That'd be fun. It'd be fun again. Wait, we already had. He wants that shit again.
I love Jay. They intentionally waited for him to take that job to announce the McDermott firing.
Petty. They're petty as fuck. No, I think it's a good situation for him. We'll have to see. I don't know if it's been announced. I haven't seen anything. Who's going to run the actual offense of that? They're bringing Monken over for sure. It was the last thing that I'd heard. So Monken's going to do it. Okay.
Was it actually finalized though? I didn't see it.
I don't know. I haven't seen anything finalized.
Everything I've seen was that reports that confirming that though.
It kind of seemed like that's the way it was going to trend. So Monken, Harbaugh, Jackson Dart, Cam Scatteraboo back. You get Malik Neighbors back. That defense, though, with all the ridiculous athletes and pass rushers that they've drafted and signed and traded for, it's a good job. It's a good job for him. I'll say this, while your quarterback isn't Lamar Jackson, I would say the rest of that roster is better than what he had with the Ravens. How about that? Is that too hot to say? And this is a fucking Giants team that I despise, man. They play in the same division as my Eagles. But I would say as a whole, the
defensive line is for sure and you have a guy
I'd say the defense as a whole is better. Not even just the defensive line.
It might be. I think the defensive line is 100%. You tell me right now, you could have any defensive line in the NFL. I mean, you might be taking the Giants, or it's the Texans or the Giants, probably, right? I mean, I'm asking: is there another defensive line you'd rather have than maybe the Texans or them? Phillies.
Maybe Phillies. Maybe the Rams.
Okay, so but I mean,
it's a very short list.
Point is, it's on the top 3 to 5, right? I mean, it's in the so, and I think for a defensive guy, if you're going to tell me all the things that you can equal to the whole defense, right? To your point, at least, whether you like the linebackers or the secondary, the defensive line is what you're going to pick first, for sure, right? So
it's what you want to build.
And so, to your point, at least, if you're telling me the defensive line is that good. Whatever you think of the linebackers in the secondary, I think that is the most important piece. So for him, I think that's extremely attractive. And I think the fact that Jackson Dart's there, you'd imagine he believes in him. So, that's...
And I think the offensive line, in all regards, I love my guy Tyler Linderbaum, but I think the offensive line as a whole is more intriguing and maybe slightly better than what he had in Baltimore, right, to protect his quarterback.
Well, I think, man, let me ask you, Andrew Thomas, for you. How good?
Oh, I like Andrew Thomas quite a bit.
I mean, he's a fucking dog. He's an absolute.
He's a dog.
Part of the reason I had Malik in the wide receiver 1 overall is if you look at Malik's splits when Andrew Thomas was playing and when he wasn't, it's absolutely.
Yeah, it's that kind of it's those crazy splits that you get out in San Francisco when Trent Williams is playing versus him being
exactly
out, right. That kind of effect.
Yep. Good call. Yep.
Or, for us Eagles fans, while our backup filled in admirably, Lane Johnson on the field versus not Lane Johnson on the field. Very, very different. Very different. No, sure. I like their offensive line. I like what they got around it. Good hiring for them, for the Giants.
Let me ask you.
For the Eagles.
It's
great.
Where
great
are you
if
at
you
with
hate the Cowboys, because fuck them. They fall even farther down the list.
Where are you at with the fact that they kept showing, by the way?
He's got an interesting track record because his draft. I mean, he's got some big
showing
hits.
For those that don't know, he's the GM. Okay.
Yeah, he's got some big hits. He's also got a couple doozy draft classes in there. But most GMs kind of do have that. Not everybody's fucking Howie Roseman sometimes.
Yes, and yeah, I do know what you're saying. Yes and no, Corey. This is iced, but it's the winter version made permanent now from a couple years ago.
No, he rebounded. He rebounded nicely last year when you hit on Scattaboo, when you hit on Jackson Dart, and he didn't have to pay a whole lot relative to what the Falcons paid to trade up for James Pierce. They did it. The Giants, Shane did it for the Giants for a quarterback and paid less, like a lot less, which is crazy to think of. So I think he redeemed himself. I think the GM he's a plus GM. He's above average GM. I think he knows what he's doing. He's got some that he wants to get back. Like the Hard Knocks thing was great where his kid's like, take Jaden Daniels. Like, whatever you do, take Jaden. Fuck it, we ain't taking Jaden Daniels.
That's the thing, though, is that I think at the moment, if you just judge him at this very present time, there's enough positives. Obviously, they decided to keep him. But I think, Mike, there's a lot of listen, Cam Scatterbo, right? Jackson Dart. I'm not going to say we didn't like some of the stuff we've seen from him, but truth be told, there's a lot longer of a time frame that we're going to need to see I like what I saw at Jackson Dart. I like what I saw at Cam Scatterbo. Not knocking them at all. But there's a chance where they're not actually proven great, right?
There's two sides of it too, because it's not just about how you draft. Like that should be a big part of being a GM, obviously, because those are stuff you don't have to go out and spend a shit ton of money to get, right? Like you don't have to wheel and do. But he is pretty good on the free agent signing. Like he got some value in his free agent signings over the last couple of years. And then let's not forget the Brian Burns trade. Carolina didn't want to trade him when the price was two first. When the price was 2 first, and then somehow Shane swoops in, the following year, and like, let me just take him off your hands here for how about a second? Is that good enough? Yeah, he convinced him that a second was. Right. And Brian Burns is a hell of a.
All right, you know what? You twisted my arm. We'll send you the second. Okay. Right.
You got me, I guess.
Jay, I love it too. I will say the ice is pretty hard to get everywhere. It just came out. It's already hard to find. D-Walk, listen, I love you. And I will tell you, while I put you onto the shattered backboards and the shoes and stuff, just stay away from the Red Bulls if you've never had one. Trust me on that.
Because you're going to – so if you judge Shane, right, you got the Kayvon Thibodeau. He's been good-ish at times. Injuries have been a problem, right? Like he's not what we expected, but he's still solid. But then, Evan Neal, you're like, ooh, what the fuck? And then some of these guys, Daniel Bellinger and Dane Belton and Micah McFadden, like – is pretty much a burn draft class. Sure. And then you go Deontay Banks, okay. John Michael Schmitz, okay. Jalen Hyatt, trash. Like, no one cares.
It's back, by the way. It's back as the peach flavor, Corey.
But then you look at the last 2 years, Malik Neighbors, Tyler Nubin, Andrew Phillips, Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy in the 5th round, big part of their fucking offense.
Yeah.
Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart, Darius Alexander, Cam Scatterbo, Marcus Embo, Thomas Fedone, like – there's some really good draft classes these last 2 years, so maybe Shane is just coming into his own and kind of figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
So trusting maybe a lot of guys too when they get this GM thing, like it's my job, I'm going to make the decisions, my ass is on the line, even though you have really good people who work for you, and maybe we're telling them something different. Maybe he's gotten to that point too now where he trusts his scouting staff and his scouting department, the other people that are in that office, and listening to them a little bit more, right? And actually being a good head of an organization as far as that's concerned.
And that, I think, is one of the things that isn't talked about enough is sometimes, the sample size as it gets bigger will prove more often than not whether you're making good decisions or not. And sometimes we pull the trigger. You see organizations pull the trigger so fast, and then a new person comes in, right? And what do? They want to do things their way, and they clean house, and that's how you get a lot of people getting rid of players that were highly drafted for a lot cheaper. I mean, I'm not going to go down the Cleveland thing. What I will say, though, Mike, is this. Last question for you here with Harbaugh. Here's, I guess, I don't want to be – this isn't to be pessimistic. This is to be more if I'm looking at it from – the lens of, the positive and the negative. For him, from the standpoint of this team, I think feels ready to be turned around in a hurry. And I think expectations may be that way. So this year, right, with Malik coming off of a major injury, right, with Cam Scatterbo coming off of an injury, with Jackson Dart, showing promise but still being a young blood, right, that I could see where expectations might be higher than what this team actually really is ready to do week one, potentially as well.
And then that could be a problem, right? Because it is New York, and there will be a lot of pissed off fans.
How quickly do you think New York fans are going to want this turned around today, tomorrow?
Exactly,
right?
Like by the time you get to week 6, they better have 4 wins. You know what I'm saying? Like we better at worst be 4-2.
We don't even have the schedule, and they're like, we know, and we got to be winning.
They're going to play every goddamn good team on the way, like the 6 best teams in the league.
They had one of the hardest schedules this year. Watch it be exactly that this year again.
Poor guys. Yeah,
but
there's going to be a lot of pressure.
That's my concern, is that sometimes we put the cart a little in front of the horse when we're looking at a team on the rise, especially with a new coach like this. I think of the McDermott, Stefansky, whoever you are, there's a lot of people that had Harbaugh as easily the best candidate out there, right? So
you might run into this Bears situation too, or the Commanders from last year too. Like the team, if it does show success, you don't want to see that letdown in his second year, right? In 2027, right? Because people are going to start being like, "What the fuck happened?" Like we made the conference championship, and now we can barely struggle to get 5-6 wins. So there is going to be a lot of pressure on him. But I think if there was a head coach, you'd rather put that on a guy like Harbaugh, who's done it for a while, than somebody right off the street, brand new, first time head coach, because that shit will ruin you or cave you if it doesn't start well.
Well, and I was going to ask last question is, where are you at for what their season looks like in 26? What if you ultimately had to say, total wins? What is it? A success? Is it a middling year? Is it a step in the right direction? What's your thoughts?
I think it'll be a success, which really sets up the NFC East as being one hell of a tough division, especially if the Eagles can figure out an offense coordinator and get somebody in there worth a shit and rebound. Dallas isn't going to go away. They're still going to have a dynamic offense. Dak's still going to put up a shit ton of points. Washington will be tons better than they were this past year. Tons better. Healthy Jaden Daniels. Man, it's gonna set up for one hell of a division race. Now, somebody is probably going to lose out. Like, we want to be like, man, not all 4 teams are making the playoffs. But we also do have some trash divisions around there and some real trash-ass teams that I don't think are getting better anytime soon. So, you might get three fucking playoff teams out of this one, and I think the Giants will be in the mix for it.
I kind of like where you're at on that. I think Harbaugh, as a football mind, is similar to the Chargers. Not that the Chargers were in a bad spot, but listen, his brother went in there and he did some questionable things, right, with moving on from Williams and Keenan Allen. You're like, they didn't draft a receiver right away. They waited on Ladd. They took the left tackle, Joe Alt-Delete, right? It's like, wait a minute, do you think this is going to work right away? And it did. So I tend to believe Harbaugh is going to find a way to make this team not in a horrible spot as far as wins and losses end of the year. Flipping it to a guy that also really hasn't had many bad seasons. It's albeit you got Josh Allen, you shouldn't have many bad seasons. But did you see this one coming? I mean, this is I will say this too, to the point of last week and the week prior, right? We're talking about all these coaching candidates, and I think sometimes there's a stagnation. It's stale, right? And it's almost like the fact that they kicked the door in on Harbaugh, it gave maybe Tomlin a little more fire to go in first day, right? I'm done. The Bills to be like, you know what, it's a perfect time off this loss to actually go ahead and do something maybe we've been thinking about doing or wanting to do this year. And what are your thoughts first?
When it first happened, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, really? McDermott fired over that?
Yeah.
Like, you guys gave him Josh Allen and almost nothing. James Cook. You gave him Josh Allen and James Cook.
Everything at receiver, it felt like they were doing. It felt like it just constantly wasn't the answer, right?
And the defense
since the Diggs thing.
And the defense has been trailing off. Like, it's been getting progressively worse because they just haven't put resources.
Which I think though is part of why they're maybe upset with him, right?
And the resources that they put in it, like, you remember the Von Miller thing from a couple years ago? Like, we're giving him Joey Bosa this past year. Like, fuck, man. What, you guys going to try to
retreads?
You guys going to try to reincarnate Reggie White? Like, is this what we're doing here? Like we're just going for all these old pass rushers. This is what we're going to roll with? But they haven't given them a lot of help, right? Their big signing, what they were talking about all Hard Knocks, was like how excited they were to get Tre'Davious White back in the building. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, wow. Okay. This is what you gave this man. And for all accounts, the defense played well, considering the personnel isn't that exciting. Like, there's not a lot of names on the defense that would get you all rocked up if they were to join your team in free agency this offseason. You're not like, holy shit.
You already mentioned the names. You already mentioned the names that would get everybody rocked up, the old guys.
You know what I mean? So I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, why'd they scapegoat this guy? Now, in the past couple of days, was what's come out. Brandon Beane getting promoted off of what he's done off of draft classes and the questionable decisions he's made at wide receiver and on the defense and not investing in it and not really giving more pieces or more weapons to this team to get over the hump. I'm like, whoa, okay. How the fuck this guy get promoted? Like, you've done a bad job or a below average job at best, and you get promoted. Like, you get a raise. This is what we're doing? All right, sounds like a lot of places I've worked in the past, The shitty people get promoted, and the ones who are doing all the hard work are the ones who end up getting the shit. And then, oh, listen, you had one bad day. Time for you to go. Like, what the fuck? This guy's had bad years.
Bean, I think one of the reports said Bean wasn't, what did it say? They weren't pleased with McDermott's concerns with talent.
Yeah. Okay. So then today, here's the fun one. This is where we get into the fucking drama. This is what I love. Comes out today. Pagula is the one who takes over after somebody asked Brandon Beane a question at a press conference about Keon Coleman. Pagula takes over and says, Brandon took one for the team. He did not want to draft Keon Coleman. That was a coaching staff decision, and he said okay with it. Which, internet doesn't fucking forget, people. All right? Pagula, listen up, bud. The internet does not fucking forget because people were quick on the timeline on this, right? I'm checking at lunch and people are fast as fuck on this. They dig up the audio from the combine where Brandon Beane's talking about Keon Coleman running a 4.57. He said, good. That means he'll be available for us when we want to draft him. They bring up other clips of Brandon Beane talking about how much he wanted to draft Keon Coleman and how it was his decision. And it's like, huh. So now you connect all the dots, right? The head coach, who didn't really get all the tools that he needed, gets ousted to shit can. The guy who's done a piss poor job gets promoted. And then you add in, he did what everyone in the corporate world who gets ahead usually has to do. You don't have to work hard or be good at your job. You just got to get down on those knees and get them lips puckered up and start kissing ass, man. And he did a great job of kissing ass and shifting blame to other people. Like, Keon wasn't my fault. I didn't even want the fucking guy, even though the internet remembers.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, though. You think about that game, too, right? Mike, I mean, it's almost – I feel like we almost got the worst of all the scenarios because the game was super close. They're obviously the controversial call, which I'm not here to, get into that. But that's a game that surely could have went either way, right? The gods, football gods, whatever you want to say, decide to give us the Bo Nix injury and the Bills loss, which turns into, because, Mike, I can guarantee you, I promise you, they're not firing McDermott if they lose even in this coming up weekend, right? They're not.
No.
They're not.
No.
So it's just we got to watch. We'll see what happens with this Bo Nix thing. I don't know, Mike. It's just like sometimes, and I'll say this too. Sometimes the world ain't fair. Sometimes the things you go through ain't fair. Sometimes the things that we all deal with ain't fair. Other than Keon Coleman, I think everyone else didn't get a fair shake here. Keon got more than enough of a shake, I think.
There was a few things out of that game that I hated. One being the McDermott fired and him getting scapegoated. That was the least of your problems, right?
To me, it's crazy because, I'll get into that later. Go ahead.
It was the least of your problems. Sean McDermott was not the problem or the reason that you lost that game at all. Like, it wasn't on him. The problem was, too, you have this all-world quarterback, and Josh Allen is phenomenal. Don't get it twisted. I love Josh Allen, but we could critique him very differently than we do a lot of quarterbacks, right? Because he's fun. He's a tall, kind of goofy white guy who gives you nice clips, and he's outgoing personality, and he's got a beautiful wife, and he's got everything going for him. Josh Allen played like shit. Josh Allen went back to like rookie year Josh Allen at times. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
He had some good moments, I will say this. But
he had some great moments. He also had some terrible moments.
I agree, but I wanted to at least say, like, I don't know that I would say he played like shit because he had some good moments, but he had some terrible moments. Like in particular, the turnover there. Like, dude,
at the end of the half.
Yeah, what are we doing, fam? Like, you're way too old and too experienced to be doing that type of shit. You know what I mean?
And we're not hard enough on him. Let's set this up. The AFC should have been a fucking cakewalk for Josh Allen to get to his first Super Bowl and potentially win his first Super Bowl. No Patrick Mahomes, the arch nemesis, the ones who always get him in the fucking playoffs. No Lamar Jackson, no Joe Burrow. Didn't have to contend with any of them.
I won't say a cakewalk, but it was set up for him to have the chance to win it all.
Beautifully. And what do? We come out, and right before halftime, we're just carrying the ball in one fucking hand. You know, we had what he ended up with 3 turnovers in that fucking game.
And I will say, I mean, listen, the kid's in tears at the end of the game, and sometimes, listen, you can be as sad as you want or as mad as you want or pissed off as you want. You had the chance and you blew it, but I think he knows. I think he knows, right? Like, dude, it's still sports. People still are human and are gonna make mistakes and are gonna do things they wish they had back. It's just kind of crazy to think that McDermott is not going to be their coach coming up this year when, like, at least to me, I'll just tell you for the Bills, for myself, right? I'll always remember. 4
turnovers. Holy shit.
I thought 4 turnovers. 4?
4.
Jeez.
2 lost fumbles. He had 3 fumbles on the game. He lost 2 of them and then 2 picks. One of them, I'll give you credit.
Oh,
it counts
like,
as
I'm an idiot.
Him, but
I'm an idiot. I'm not. I'm that very last pick is a pick on him. I wasn't thinking about that as being a pick on him. You're right.
Yeah, that's, like I said, that wasn't like a bad throw.
That one is also kind of, I don't know. That's crazy. That was very, very wild to me to see how that went down.
The only thing I didn't like about it, because that is, in my opinion, Adam, that was 100% an interception.
I don't disagree that it probably is a pick, but Mike, to me, it's crazy that we didn't get a review, right?
Yeah.
And it's also crazy to me that they called that on the field.
Right.
To the naked eye, that looks 100% like not a pick.
Yeah.
And once they made the call on the field, I think you were fucked.
So in my opinion, though, anything if you take away the defender out of that, and he hits the ground right there, right, and the ball comes out, they call that incomplete 1,000%.
The problem is with making the decision on this, the ball doesn't come out. Right, we only know that it comes out because it switches hands. We never really saw him lose the ball, other than it just goes to hit Buddy's hand. So it's crazy.
The only thing I didn't like about it is the Ravens had almost that exact same thing go against them to get in the fucking playoffs, right? Sure. Against the Steelers, where Aaron Rodgers threw the pass, it gets batted, he catches it, and like simultaneously as he's going to the ground, somebody's got their hands on it. The guy ends up ripping it away the minute Aaron Rodgers, knee touches the ground, and they're like, nope, possession down by contact. And I was, at the time, even then, I said, what the fuck? That should be a pick, man. That should be, if you take the defender out of the equation and that were to happen, and the ball comes out on its own or whatever the hell it is, the minute his knee touches the ground, they rule that incomplete 100 times out of 100. So
yeah,
that's a determination. But I don't count that one against Josh Allen. But the other ones, okay, buddy. This was your prime moment.
Sure.
This is your biggest game. I say all that to say, though, it really felt like Sean McDermott was just a scapegoat on it. And good for him with all the shit that's coming out here about Brandon Beane. Seems like a snaky fuckstick that I wouldn't want to work for anyways. I hope Sean McDermott winds up with a head coaching job this year, and if he doesn't, I hope he ends he'd be a fantastic defense coordinator for just about any team in the fucking league, at least for a year until he can see what's out there in 2027.
Do you see a scenario, albeit he's not going the Tomlin route, where this happens later in the year, you're kind of completely taken aback, and you're like, all right, similar age, right? I'm going to take the year to kind of figure out what I want to do next year.
Family. Yep. And make a decision. I don't feel like I'm behind the 8 ball because he's the right. He wasn't expecting to have be looking for a job until fucking Monday morning.
It almost could be again. Now listen, I'll be honest with you, Michael. All the stuff's still coming out. You get to coach Josh Allen. You get to coach this team. I still think for him, it'd be better for him to stay in Buffalo. That being said, That's already gone. Sometimes because here's the truth: a reset for a reset for a coach like this, just a mental clarity, right? You're normally so constantly on the go. I don't even really. I just know of it. I haven't done it, but mentally drained constantly, right? It's like you're draining your battery 24/7.
Yeah.
Getting to reset could be a big thing for a guy like him too.
Taking the year off, right? And see what's out there in next year. For
absolutely.
Coaching jobs.
So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Let me ask you, Mike, of the jobs left, and we'll get to questions here. So keep putting questions in for us. I'll be starring them here as we talk through this. Mike, of the jobs left, most desirable, are they all trash? Obviously, the Bills is the big caveat. But aside from them, we can talk about the Bills too. But where are you at with the jobs left? And what do you think of some of the antics or what you're hearing from, the decisions they're making on these?
So a lot of the ones that are open, you haven't heard too much about it. I don't know where the Bills are going to land. I think Dable might be their choice. If it's not Joe Brady as an internal promotion, you still got some guys playing these next couple weekends, right? Still in the playoffs that are pretty hot head coaching candidates. So we'll kind of see where they end up landing after this is open, and these may be the next ones that we're waiting on before people really start filling all of their needs. The offensive coordinator jobs, though, getting filled up left and right has probably been the most intriguing part, especially for us in Dynasty. I want to know who's going to run these fucking offenses. So the Mike McDaniel to the Chargers thing was like, oh, okay, holy shit. All right. Like I just spent all this time just besmirching the name of Justin Herbert because rightfully so, the fucking guy just can't get it done, man. Every time he gets to the playoffs, he plays fucking horrible and looks like dog shit, and then we just make excuse after excuse for him. It is what it is. But, hey, fantasy for us, we play weeks 1 through 17, and you just got a fucking guy that can make that offense hum. And all of our Omari and Hampton shares from last year were like, oh, baby. Yeah. The Ladd McConkey season was not good. That just injected a shit ton of life in it. For anybody who's still holding on to a little Quentin Johnston shares, you're like, hey. And then the Oronde Gadsden thing with Mike McDaniel at tight end, all of a sudden you're like, okay. All right, now this offense becomes pretty fucking exciting. Obviously, I wanted to see him land with the Eagles. If it wasn't the Eagles, you wanted to see him go to Detroit, one of these fucking offenses. But Chargers, pretty good backup. And he's made that one really intriguing.
Yeah, no question.
The Eagles, I'm making it about my Eagles here, their offense coordinator search continues. The only thing I don't like that's coming out of this is you got a lot of really dumb people who don't understand football or football dynamics, and I will say that confidently with my fucking chest. People want to say that McDaniel not choosing to go to the Eagles as offense coordinator or Dable not choosing to go there as offense coordinator is an indictment against Jalen Hurts, that they prefer other quarterbacks more than Jalen Hurts, or Jalen Hurts is so tough to work with that they don't want. Couldn't be farther from the fucking truth. And I can tell you the reason a lot of these offensive coordinators don't want to go to Philadelphia is the guy who runs the fucking show, who's the head coach, right? This is supposed to be your offensive guru, your offensive genius, who got hired to Philly as that. And while he has brought us to 2 Super Bowls and has won 1, I appreciate you, Nick. You're kind of a fucking asshole, okay? You're an asshole, and you're a little bit clueless when it comes to offense. And I would imagine a lot of these guys, when they're sitting in these job interviews, are probably asking, how much control do I have? If we decide to do this, how much leeway do I have on the offensive? And is this just a 1-year rental kind of deal? And I'm sure they're not liking the answers that they're getting, right? As long as Nick Sirianni's there. So it's not an indictment on Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts' fucking resume in the biggest game is fucking impeccable. Jalen Hurts should have 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Jalen Hurts can throw the fucking football. We've seen him do it. He can run the football. He can run offenses. Jalen Hurts, by all accounts, is one stand-up son of a bitch. All right? He is.
Hey, I don't know if you've heard any of this. Shady McCoy has very different things to say about this.
That's also Shady McCoy, who's kind of a dumbass in himself. All right, Shady.
Listen, hey, I'm just telling the Eagles guy about the Eagles guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. All right. But yeah, it's more of an indictment on Nick Sirianni than anything, and it's also an indictment on what some of these guys want to do. May not be, especially if I'm the Eagles. We've gone through this revolving door of offense coordinators here over the past couple of years. We get a good one, they move on to a head coaching job. We get somebody in that Nick's friends with that's dog shit. Everybody hates him, and then we get a good one, moves on to a head coaching job. Then we get a dog shit one that everyone hates. Philly fan base is hard to please too, right? Sure. When you're good, we love you. When you're shit, they let you know. They let you know. They'll egg the shit out of your house. They'll vandalize it. They'll fucking send you death threats. They'll throw snowballs at Santa Claus. They don't give a fuck. It's a tough place to coach, especially if you're the offense coordinator coming off a year where offense is the reason our team was not good. The whole reason. It wasn't anything to do with the defense. It was the offense was the whole fucking problem. And we had a guy who couldn't fix it. We have a head coach who couldn't fix it. So the indictment on Philly as a whole has more to do with the head coach and the fan base and how tough of an organization it is.
Sure.
And for a lot of these guys, think about like the Harbaughs of the world in regards to Mike McDaniel. I'm sure Harbaugh is very comfortable going, because Harbaugh at heart is an offensive guy and he's going to do his things his way. Like he's going to give McDaniel his free reign to run his offense. He gave Greg Roman his free reign to run his offense. But at the heart of it, Harbaugh wants to run the football. He's an offensive guy. That's how he came up. He played fucking quarterback in the league. Harbaugh's going to do his thing. But I'm sure he's also very comfortable because he's had this multiple times of coordinators that he's not going to get in the way of taking that next step. So if Mike McDaniel wants to get back to being a head coach in 2027, I'm sure there's an agreement that, hey, if we do really well and we make the playoffs and the conference championship and we have success and I got head coaching offers, like I'm sure Harbaugh has already had those conversations. Listen, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for your help. I'm going to wish you luck. I'm going to give you the best glowing review that I possibly can. You know, I'll be the first call to one. Hey, how's it working with Mike McDaniel? How is he as a person? That kind of thing. Give him a glowing review and send him on his way because he's done this multiple times. Now, it has been on the defensive side of the ball. Usually his defensive coordinator is the guy who's always in the mix for these kind of things. And he's bounced defensive coordinators back and forth between him and his brother, NFL. He doesn't stand in the way of people moving on to better opportunities. Nick Sirianni kind of gives me that impression that maybe he's not the easiest guy to be around because his public persona probably is also just a small glimpse into what his private is. And when somebody probably called him about Kellen Moore last year, I'm sure Nick was like, "No, that guy's shit. You don't want him."
Dorf does fantasy. I guess. You know, we're in this together, but I'm sorry to hear that for you being a Browns fan. And to me, one, it's amazing when you get a notification on your phone that kind of it's very opposite of what you normally would see. But for me, so confirming and, okay, this makes sense, right? And that was that Mike McDaniel withdraws himself from being a, coaching candidate for the Cleveland Browns. But to me, it's hilarious because I think a lot of people don't necessarily remember this is 10 plus years ago now, but in 2014, see, here's the thing, right? Stefanski going to the Falcons, right? And it's funny because I'm going to bring the Falcons back to this, and Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, people don't remember and understand, and please understand when I'm telling you this, it's as a scorned, hurt, hardly anymore Browns fan. What they do is they push away players, personnel, coaching, people that do well, and it starts from the very top, and it's Haslam is the problem. 2014, Mike McDaniel is the wide receiver coach, and the offense. Well, I don't know if he was actually technically offensive coordinator, but Kyle Shanahan was there, right? Kyle Shanahan is asking. At this time, he's a very prominent young, especially with the last name and what you know about him. He's asking to be gone. Mike McDaniel follows him to the Falcons. And then obviously follows him again to Frisco, and you have what you have here. Mike, I'm honestly surprised McDaniel even interviewed, frankly, at all. Maybe it was just him doing his due diligence, but they know how bad it is. That was the Johnny Manziel year. They know how absolutely disastrous this organization is run, how much of a clown show it was. To me, it's just kind of crazy that And for those that didn't know, I mean, imagine having in the building and the opportunity to hire within guys that are this talented, and they're like, listen, let me get the fuck out of here in an expedited way. It just – you got Stefanski. It's all over again, Mike. History has a tendency to repeat itself, and here we are again, right?
Right back again, man. I hope for you guys that you can find somebody to dig you out, like really can, because we've seen it. How
do you have that happen? Let me just ask you this, and I want to hear what you have to say, but how do you have that happen when the people that are here to dig you out, you constantly put into the fire as the people that are the problem?
I gave you one example, just one example, and we're seeing it in real time. Like we're seeing it come. for by all accounts, being the head coach of the Chicago Bears, while not quite as bad as the Cleveland Browns, has been a fucking disaster under that ownership group for a long time. Very hard fucking people to work for. And finally, when they got Ben Johnson this year, it seems like they took a big step back and they went more hands off and they said, fuck it. Like, we're tired of being the laughing stock.
But what do you have there, though? A new GM.
Yes.
Yeah, you have the same GM, the same owner, getting rid of what is easily the most successful of the bunch in the coach.
Right.
It's Buffalo. It's all the organizational problem. By the way, in that search, at the moment anyway, Grant Udinski is their front runner. So they just got to figure out the Rooney rule. Rooney rule. Darnell Mooney.
Grant Udinski.
Well, look him up. That's likely to be our head coach. So there you have it.
All right. Well, good luck with that, I guess.
But anyway, yeah. I'm hoping we can snap McDaniel. To be honest with you, Mike, I don't know. Maybe people like to call me pessimistic. I think a lot of times our Browns fans become so optimistic that they're blinded by not being real. I knew McDaniel was never going to happen. I knew there's no chance.
This is a fantastic name too. As listen, I just see somebody updated predictions for remaining NFL head coaching openings. I look at the Cleveland Browns. Right, Grant Udinski, to your credit, top on that list. But the second man, shout out, man. Nathan Shieldhouse. You remember him?
Of course. Well, and Mike, it's can I tell you, not only do I remember him, it's actually really funny because if it's Shieldhouse, they can hire him next week, so then they don't have to go through the Rooney rule.
So there you go.
Mike, those are the two people that are going to be the coach. But anyway, I'm not here to make a mockery of the show, or the only thing to do is make a mockery of the Browns. I think it's very good for the Chargers. It's funny, someone put in here, as a former quarterback, he loves to run the ball a lot. He was the run game coordinator for Shanahan. Listen, being the run game coordinator for Shanahan is about as, run game centric as you're going to have, There's
been one offensive coordinator hiring that I didn't like at all.
Talk to me.
And I've seen people defending it and spinning it and trying to put.
I know where you're going. Talk to me. Come on.
Perfume on a pig, I guess. Is lipstick on a pig? Is that the saying? Yeah, lipstick on a pig. Drew Petzig to the Lions.
Absolutely, it's amazing. Mike, you can put.
That.
To me, it's a hot dog. Right? You can put all whatever kind of toppings you want on it. You can put any kind of bun on it.
It's still
a fucking hot dog. Okay.
Still a hot dog. I don't get how we're spinning it. I've seen people do it and talk about his schemes and. They want to hype up Sam Laporta for the Trey McBride thing. The only thing that I worry about Sam Laporta, to be honest, is it's pretty. Was it my misendectomy? Back surgery is what he had, right? Something to do with his disc. That's a little bit fucking like, fuck. Yep. Yeah, you don't want to hear that.
No.
But here's the fact. I mean, people want to blame Kyler, like it's all Kyler's fault that offense was shit. But I'm just going to point out one thing. One thing on why I don't like Petzig at all. They drafted a generational wide receiver prospect, and he had no plan on how to get him fucking involved in the offense over 2 years. None.
Sure.
Zero fucking plan.
I will say
none.
I will say this year it felt like they were trying to get more targets his way, and I mean you could have at least seen the scenario where it's like it felt like Kyler was being a little bit more of the problem with not getting enough targets year one, but I don't know. I mean, listen, this is a guy that, if there was a wide receiver that was going to be considered to go one overall ever again, right? I mean, Marv was seemingly that guy. Obviously, that class was so damn quarterback top heavy, Mike, it wasn't going to happen. But reminder, the dude went 4 when you had 6 quarterbacks go top 12 ahead of quarterbacks. So, I mean, it's generational's I think very fair as far as the talent. He also was in a fucking wide receiver class that's had some duds, but I mean talented as crap, right? So
his overall ranks on that offense, below average across his time there, in almost every single category. I don't understand why we're excited or trying to spin this as anything good. Is it a talent upgrade going to the Lions? Yeah. Is his quarterback that much better? maybe. Like,
but
Goff,
I guess the only thing is like stylistically, Brissett and Goff are similar. And,
a lot closer. Yep.
Yeah. But, I mean, listen, the offense did its thing, but I don't know. Maybe you want to say the offense put up numbers, so they should win with a better defense. But I'll just say this, too. The Lions' defense was really the problem at the other point for this team last year. But, anyway, we'll see what happens with that. I'm kind of with you. I guess I'll say it's not like, in my opinion, there was, super, super highly guys that they passed on for him. But I don't know. We may find out it was a cultural thing too. It seems very much like Campbell and the guys there that they want to hire what they believe is the right culture fit. So we'll see. We will see. Time will tell us on that. I'm with you.
I just didn't really like that. I thought that was a net negative for just about everybody involved with the Lions offense for fantasy outlook. Like, okay, that wasn't great.
Well,
this wasn't awesome.
Shoot us your questions. I've got questions starred, Mike. We're gonna get to. Let us know how you feel so far in the comments. Don't tell me anything else I need to not hear about the Browns. Aside from that, let's get to questions. We'll let Fizz talk to you, and we'll get right into it, all right?
Let's go.
Welcome to South Harmon. Welcome to South Harmon. Hey, welcome to South Harmon. We glad you here today. Another AMA. Ask me anything. Super chat is cool if you wanna pay to play. Like and subscribe, that's what we really appreciate. Let me introduce you to the tear down king. Mike McNutty, ask your questions, he'll answer anything. ATM, you know Adam put them graphics on the screen. Glad you tapped in now, stay tapped in for the team. Hey, everything is posted. Go follow the socials. South Harmon FF tag us if we get noticed. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Another AMA, welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today.
Let's go. Question time.
Get it, baby. Let's get it. Questions.
They're tired of hearing us talk and ramble about fuck coaches.
I mean, I don't blame you, I guess, but let's go. Fellow Brown fan, RIP. But hey, listen, we ride together, we die together, and we always continually die together. How about JT and Ayuk and the 206, Mike, or CD Lamb in a 10-team Superflex Dynasty League? I'm taking CD here.
Yes, pretty comfortably. 206 doesn't really matter to me. Brandon Ayuk could get a value bump, like by all accounts, by John Lynch's words. He's played his last down in San Francisco. So
to me, Mike, the stuff during the season, Ayuk clearly made it where it's gonna that's happening. It's done.
And you love Jonathan Taylor's up until like week 12
sure.
production.
If you ask somebody this question week 10, week 8, you might have hey, you're crazy not to take the JT side, right?
But in non-point scoring season, I want the higher valued player, especially in a 10-team guy.
Well, I'm with you, and I think 10-team, what it does, right? Personally, for me, it puts wide receiver as the prominent position. It does make running back more valuable too here. Like, I think if you told me that, let's live in this pretend world, right? That Daniel Jones didn't get hurt and Daniel Jones continued to play for the entirety of the season. Let's say there's somehow either they just lost in a close game or they're still in the playoffs, right? And he played that way and JT played that way for the whole season. Maybe then you might want to take the JT side. But for me, Mike, seeing what took place, how running back 2-ish JT was the entirety of, the second half of the season, how much he didn't matter for fantasy winners. And you think about that position, you think about him getting a year older, and I mean Daniel Jones, who's going to be the starter next year? There's way too many questions around this. Ayuk and 206 don't really come into play here for me with how different CD and JT are from each other in this conversation. Mike, I think even in 12-team, I'm taking CD, frankly. Let's say it's a 12-team start 10. The only way I would even closely consider this other side is if it's a, best ball league, I think, honestly.
Best ball, and I already had a good roster, contending roster. And I'm taking one piece and breaking it up into 3, and we'll see what happens. But just about any other lineup format, regardless of size, it's CD Lamb for me.
Here you go. Well, I'll tell you, Corey, this is a very good question. Hopefully that helped you. It's certainly better than the Browns, if you take the CD side, in my opinion. But this is an interesting one. Now, I'm not telling you that people won't be saying this, and I'm not saying that there aren't reasons to want to sell picks there, but super chat from Corey. So we read it in its entirety. I've seen a lot of people suggest selling all 26 first later than the 103-ish. What do you guys think about that? And what are you trying for in rebuilds? So, Mike, they're kind of two different questions here, right?
Yep.
What do you think about, and what are you doing with these picks, or what are you doing with 26 and rebuilds? And then the first overall, what are you doing with picks that are 104 and later in the class?
So while you, it's pretty much determined the 26 class is dog shit. That's what everyone's saying. They don't like it. And while I'm in agreement that for me, 101 through 105, I'm very intrigued by, and I like those picks. Everything after that, a bit of a toss-up. We're still very, very early in the process. Very, very early in the process, and you can get some real surprises that come up later. Now, I'm going to point back to another class that ended up being shit. Adam, you and I started this whole thing on the 22 class, which was not a good class. Not a good class.
If you listen to the very first podcast, you'll probably say, yikes. Different recording studio setup, different recording, everything, and also bad takes. But, Mike, here's the crazy part. All that being said, well, let me let you finish first. Go ahead.
I got some rookie ADP post-draft from that class, okay? And while we sit here now, let's take a trip back memory fucking lane as far as what these picks were actually worth, like a year after that class. You know what I mean? Like what those players were. Breece Hall was the 101, Adam. That's worked out okay, right? You had the 101, you were fine, right? You like Breece Hall.
Yeah.
You did. Treylon Burks, the 102. That one did not work out so well for you at all. Did not work out so well for you at all. But let's also think, 1 year after drafting Treylon Burks, you were probably still trading him for a 112, a 201, something like that.
Well, I don't want to spoil next week, but I think in between the with the week off in between the Super Bowl, I think next week I was already getting ready to tell people we're going to probably talk a little more of the 26 class in that time frame anyway. So we'll do a little teasing here for you. But go ahead.
Now these next ones were highly controversial because they were all in a tier, right? And it was a choose your own flavor. So don't take the rankings, strictly based on ADP on where they went. They went.
Sure.
The guy who went 103 to fucking 106 was like the same thing for a lot of people. Yeah. JMO.
JMO is one of the crazier ones because of how his value insulation ended up staying despite his downward trending. Like he ended up staying very valuable for a while, even now.
Drake London, that one worked out pretty well for you.
And Drake London again, it's just value insulation, right?
Kenneth Walker. After his rookie year, think about
Dynasty
where he was.
value. Dynasty value was really high. He's never worked out for production, so it's probably a two-part question for him.
Garrett Wilson.
I mean, I think that what I just said about Kenneth Walker is even more so magnified with Garrett Wilson, right?
Sky Moore, like from the jump, that was
the sky is the limit.
Kenny Pickett, not so great. 109, Chris Olave. Think about after his rookie year, him and Garrett Wilson were neck and neck.
I think Chris Olave is probably at his most valuable he's ever been.
Christian Watson did okay for you. George Pickens. James Cook.
George Pickens probably has the most tumultuous of the up and downs, right?
There's your first round. Second round, Dameon Pierce after his rookie year.
Hopefully you sold.
Rashad White.
Hopefully you sold.
David Bell, no. Alec Pierce, welcome back.
Best ball, I guess.
Jahan Dotson after his rookie year, way up. Trey McBride, way up. Isaiah Spiller in the shitter. The rest of these guys, who gives a fuck? But we're at the mid-second. I'm only saying 2022 was not a great class. It wasn't a great class going into it. We had a lot of the same feels that we have about 26 class. Like, there's some wide receivers I like. We got one really good running back that I like. After that, I don't fucking know. Like, I just don't know. I don't know how this whole thing's going to shake out. I'll say this. Anybody who's telling you right now, you got to sell these 26 picks, they haven't either A, been very good at Dynasty, or B, been playing Dynasty very fucking long. Because I'm telling you, if you're selling them in fucking end of January, before we have Senior Bowl, before we have Combine, before people start to fall in love. You remember Sky Moore did not fucking work out for anybody. But do you remember his meteoric rise? Right? Well, all of a sudden, we're talking about a guy from a Michigan school that's not one of the big Michigan schools who wears 24 at wide receiver getting taken by the Chiefs. And now he's the 106, 107. And the things people were doing backflips to get Sky Moore on their fucking teams. I'm not selling this shit right now. I'm not. Well, I'm diamond handing the fuck out of him unless it's a crazy, stupid deal like the one we had the question earlier. It's like, I already got a good team. Would you trade the 112 for Derrick Henry? Fuck yeah, go for it. Or would you trade the 208? It was
206 and 208.
Yeah, whatever the fuck was. What was the 112 one? I forget.
112 was
damn.
Go back and look. It wasn't fucking Henry though. It was better than that. It was
a lot better.
What the fuck was that now? Let me see.
I'm mixing up questions here. We're combining them. Either way.
Pitts.
Unless it's Pitts. Unless it's something stupid like that, I'm not selling these picks.
So here's the thing, right? I think listen, I don't want to speak ill of any person out there putting information out there at all. Okay, but what I will say is this: I think in general, when you look at generalities, right? So this question, or what you're reading about this question, right? People say go sell your picks now. To me, it's an incomplete, right? And this is I think one of the issues that you'll face a lot of times with just generalized content, right? Because sure, yeah, listen, I would love to sell the 104 and the 112, right? In a vacuum, if you're telling me that I'm going to get great players back for them. Sure, of course. Here's the problem. When you see information like this out there enough to the public that says get rid of these picks, let's just try to, focus on what we can control and understand here. What does this type of information do to the price, to the cost of draft picks in this class that already has been talked about? God, we have people in our comments for a calendar year now. I mean, ready to just kill us about talking anything positive about the 26 class, right? Buy apple pie. How you doing, man? If you thought we forgot about you, you got another thing coming. But, buddy, this drives the price of 26 picks down further, right? You're telling me that, and if you believe that it's still the best thing to do to sell these picks, I'm not even telling you you're wrong, but we have no idea what the return is if you're just saying it from this standpoint, right? Here's, I think, one of the things that is not baking in at all, right? We're watching football still, guys. We're watching football in multiple games at a time. We're getting ready to go to 2 games this weekend. We're getting ready to go to no games the following weekend and 1 game. And then, guess what we have? Our favorite, not our favorite at all, months. We have months of no football. Do you know what happens? Mike, it's like imagine if you didn't have your phone for a few days. You start getting itchy. You start getting a little bit tight. This doesn't work for me. You're getting ready to go into, I'm telling you, I don't give a fuck what class you're talking about, right? So just remove 26 for a second. There's not a single person out there that's not capable of being lured in to rookie fever. And so for me, you can talk about this from a generic standpoint. You can talk about this in your specific league. All of those things, to me, it doesn't make sense to sell if the price point is being driven down because everyone's supposed to sell and we're getting back what? So I think ultimately I'm willing to have the conversation to sell 104, 105, 106 beyond that for sure. If you're telling me that it looks like a couple of seconds for Derrick Henry, absolutely. If you're telling me I can get into Kyle Pitts for a 112, absolutely. Right? There's a price point that makes sense. But I think in generalities, I would be on the other side of this just because you're probably not getting into players that are going to be cornerstone assets, right? And if I'm not going to do that, I'm missing out the window of huge hype season to move the pick, even if you still believe that you want to move the pick. So right now, it would be kind of a middling to hard no for me. As far as a rebuild goes, it's the same answer, except for I might be more willing to move the picks in a full rebuild when we're getting closer to that rookie hype season because they do become players here shortly. So that would be the only difference here.
So I did that mock draft that I talked about with Seth in the group Adam, I want you to fast forward. Let's go to like April. All right, mid-April, right before the draft. Let's go right before the draft. We were doing a startup, and I was telling you we're using kickers as rookie picks. Where's the 101 going? Even in the down.
When?
Like mid-April.
Of which year? Sorry.
This year.
This year?
Yep.
Mid-April.
Fast forward a couple months. Fast forward 4 months. We're doing it right before the draft. We're doing a startup. We're using kickers as rookie picks.
You're saying what am I? I thought you were asking me about last year. You're saying right now, where would I put it?
Where are you taking it?
Where do I think the public is going to have the 101 this year in April?
Yep.
It's a good question. I think there's a chance that it's roughly lower than we've seen most years. Mm-hmm. I do think Jeremiah Love will make it into no later. Like, it won't go third round. I think it'll be a second round pick for sure still.
Okay. Mock draft last night, 306.
Oof. So I think it'll go up. Give me the I don't know. Is it under because the number's lower, or is it over because he's going to go higher? Whatever the case. I think he's going higher than the 306. Better lower number pick.
It's going in the second round. I think
it'll probably end up being somewhere between the late second and the mid second, depending on your draft. You know.
Yeah. We talk about it right now. Barkley, London, Brian Thomas, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. That was the range. It's going to be somewhere in there.
I can see it. Yeah.
How about this? And that's just the 101. Now let's go down to
I do think this is going to be I think this part of the exercise does get interesting. I think Jeremiah Love will end up being a high enough draft pick in this class. The running backs had enough of resurgence. I think he'll stay in the mix. I think these next ones will get kind of interesting to see what they do in ADP for startups.
106, 107. Give me a range.
Mike, can I tell you the truth? I'm going to be honest with you. This is the point where I would tell you, based on history, that it should be, probably in the 5th to 6th round range. I want to tell you this, though, buddy. I think this is the most unknown chartered. I think this is the most exciting or interesting part to see if the narrative fits this corollary, right? Does it translate across into startups? Do startups fade rookies to where the 107, let's call it, is an 8th round pick? That to me is going to be one of the things I'm so fascinated by this offseason, because that's the story we're being told, right?
I took them in the startup draft last night, the startup mock, 811, 902.
Okay, so here you go. I'm telling you, I believe right now, based on everything you hear, that the 8th round is kind of where the 107 might fall. If we were thinking about what it would be today, I think in April it'll go up higher, but I do think it'll be interesting to see if this correlates.
Now, it's easier to see as a visual, but I'll give it to you. Players I passed on in order to take the 106 and the 107. Okay,
let's hear it.
Players I passed on: Quentin Johnston, Matt Stafford, Terry McLaurin, Harold Fannin, Dalton Kincaid, Tua Tagovailoa, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Jacoby Myers.
None of these are that surprising except for Fannin, I think, though.
You tell me right now confidently, even in a down class, you'd rather have any one of those guys than the 106 or the 107.
The problem here's the problem, though, right? I think this exercise is, for most people that would go into it, it's kind of a joke, if I'm being honest. Not to put you down, right? Or to put this, they have no idea what because a lot of people, what do? They want to know what the players are. So if you're just being told to fade the picks, Mike, what do? You fade the picks. You have no idea what the people are going to be. Exactly. That's the problem.
Which is exactly why you and I, when we've done this for a while now, and you see any kind of ADP, if you look at rookie ADP relative to a startup, it goes up every fucking year,
but by a few rounds. Strength of class. In that range, a couple to a few rounds.
I think Adiko had a great tweet years ago talking about this, where he broke it down, because this is the man at Dynasty Data Lab who lives and breathes and dies with ADP. Right?
Yeah, if you are into startup ADP, which, newsflash here, we love it, right?
Yep.
You know Adiko.
But if you just look somewhere from like February to post NFL draft, startup ADP as far as rookies, when it's just a number versus when it's a player, Like the 101 goes up a handful of spots. Like you're talking like 4, 5, sometimes 6 spots. The 102, the 103, kind of same picture. It's when you get into that mid-round range, like those 106s, the 107s, the 108s, Adam, we're seeing 2 rounds. We're seeing sometimes 3 rounds of going up because, like you said, people want to know what the name is, right? Like I need to know the name. They can't wrap their fucking heads around. Listen, this is the possibility of what it becomes, or possibility of what is the name. If you don't actually see it, it's hard for people to contextualize it and to actually draft it appropriately on where it's going to wind up. But every time you start putting names to the picks, like whoever the ADP 106 actually ends up being for a rookie, is not going at the 8-11, Adam. It's going to go at the 6th round, even in a down class. Like you said, for us, for most classes, if you just think generic across the board, we're probably comfortable in the 5th round. Like we're thinking in the 5th round, would I rather have the rookie pick or I'd rather have this vet who I just watched score points? But we're so early in the process here. We're so early. We're in fucking January. Like we haven't even done our first film session yet in the Discord.
We're not.
We haven't
honestly,
even really started.
There you go. What you just said. See, here's the thing. I think, to me, being a little more detailed about the offseason is important, right? Because the bigger fantasy picture ends, right? Fantasy football ends. But here's the thing. Because points are still being scored in real football, to me, the true dynasty cycle hasn't changed yet, right? You have the month of January where it almost – I think some sharper players are move the needle, right, quicker. They're trying to beat people to the punch of point scoring season being ending. But to me, right, as soon as the Super Bowl's over, point scoring season is officially ended. Meaning you don't watch people score fantasy points. You don't watch people get yards. You don't watch that stuff. So what happens at that point? People want to get younger. Period. Everybody wants to get younger in Dynasty, and we go into a long, long cycle of people wanting to get younger. And what do people also love in Dynasty, Mike? What does everybody love? And go back and think to yourself for a specific episode. They love the mystery box. They love what has not failed yet. It could be anything. Could even be a boat.
How many times have we talked about player values as a whole? And the final determination on player values on who you'd rather have.
Unless you are blind, Mike is absolutely getting slim over there.
Our final determination is, we talk about this all the time. Who hasn't failed yet? Who haven't we seen with our eyes suck at some point? Because as soon as we see them suck, now we get opinions, right? Like there's going to be people out there who hate Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, I was going to say, but even I was just going to use a player like him. I'm glad you brought him up. Even him, he will even have a market bump because he's young. But he's not going to get to those points where he was when we haven't seen him, quote unquote, fail, right? But his market, Travis Hunter's market, will boom a little bit once point scoring season's over. But those players, at least you have the knock of we've seen them fail, quote unquote, although be it early, right? So it's what rookies haven't done though, Mike, is they haven't failed yet. The only thing that they have done is, they're not that talented, or people are going to, talk poorly about them because they're in this class.
That's one of the biggest things. I mean, I think about how high people were on Ashton Genty, not even in Dynasty, but in redraft, right? Like locked in first round pick for even redrafters and one QE.
I wish I did.
Right. But now we've seen him, I'm not necessarily going to say fit, but we've seen enough warts where we're like, oh, I don't know.
I think even outside of Xbox, right? Outside of the true,
trolls,
vindictive haters hate the soul of the person. You won't say failed, but you will say the situation failed him, and he didn't thrive in the situation. So there's but I think that's more of a fantasy thing, Mike. Again, if you look at Dynasty, his price hasn't dipped, right? Like people haven't said that he's failed yet. So that's what's really interesting about a player like him. But I think to your point, like Marv, right? We've seen he's fallen so short. Here's the thing: Genty fell short of expectations, but not really as far as like the highs and lows of if you want to say range of outcomes, right? He was on the lower end range of outcomes, but he finished as like a back end running back 1 almost, high end running back 2, whatever. So bad range of outcome, but we still believe in the talent. Marv has fucking, he's flopped for what you thought of range of outcomes. Range of outcomes, he's absolutely missed the mark so far. I'm not going to say he's below threshold, like a face planter, but he's missed the expectation by a country mile.
And we're gonna have this problem, especially with wide receivers like Marv for a long time, because we've seen so many of these guys come in and just absolutely smash year one and just hit it out of the park. It doesn't matter how many times we get a year two letdown, how many times we get a Brian Thomas Jr. or a Brian Thomas Jr., a Ladd McConkey, like how many times we get Garrett London or Garrett Wilson.
Garrett London. That would be a
Drake
fucking
London,
awesome one.
right? Yeah, combining guys here. Combining guys. How many times do we get that where we get the year two letdown where we're like, I think the days of us making a whole lot of excuses. You remember we just talked about Drake London, Garrett Wilson, and Chris Olave, after year one and then going into year two and they're kind of dynasty cycles. How many times or opportunities we have of this guy where they maintain what used to be peak? If Brian Thomas Jr., for example, or Ladd McConkey, like they did have those kind of sophomore years where you're like, oh, Marv, for example, how many times we're still ranking them the following season at 9, 10, right in that range, still wide receiver one. I think that's going to become less and less frequent because it's happening more and more often. And people are on to the new greatest thing, the next one that's coming. Or that guy like JSN who we were down on, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, if we give him time, now we're talking about wide receiver one overall. I think we're getting a little bit of shift at the wide receiver position, but as a whole for rookies, if we haven't seen them fail yet, we still really like them. Right? We like them until they fail.
But here's the thing, right? Let me say this. I think that's why, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm always the most researched and I always know everything I'm ready to say going in here. But like that 8th round to me was a really specific round number. And it's because that round typically is where you see the fail rate of players, right? You get to the range of DeAndre Swift last year, right? You get to the names of we are at in the 8th round, very, very polarizing names. If you have a person that's a truther that believes in them, sure. But often you're no one's very decisive in a great way about these players. That's why they're going there. So that's where, to me, you see the names that everyone likes, right? Let's say the Jeremiah Loves, okay? You'll see him going probably round 2, as we talked about. You'll see maybe some of the names that become a little more higher prioritized in round 3 or 4, 5 even. But you might see this year, I think, Mike, a big gap between, let's say, Jeremiah Love and let's say the 105. I think you could see a couple rounds there where 3 and 4 maybe they're a little bit more players that are secured. And we might see a gap. But here's the thing. When you get to that 5th, 6th, especially 7th round, and then the 8th round for certain, you eventually start shooting your shot on the mystery box when you're looking at, oh, man, I got to draft a guy that really hasn't done shit, right?
I shouted out to Deco. His ADP right now, he's got the 107 at the 712 and the 106 at the 703 at him, right? So
there you go.
Higher than last night, but still, you talk about fail rate, like guys within that round, guys that we've seen have warts, or you kind of got to talk yourself into either you're a truther or you fucking hate them, and that's kind of the breaking point on whether or not you want them on your fantasy teams. Yeah. Cam Ward, Kyle Pitts, Travis Etienne,
Mike, it's gonna be littered with guys that have given us failed seasons, 100%.
Kenneth Walker, Devontae Smith, Javonte Williams, Jalen Waddle.
That's Kenneth Walker after the Zach Charbonnet injury and shit too, right? I mean, God.
Shout out to the question. I'll get it right now. What was it? The 206 and the 208?
Yeah.
Derrick Henry at the 711.
I'll take that convenience all day long. Give me that convenience.
By Deco's ADP, he's worth slightly more than the 107 in this class. So what a great deal for you. That's why Adam said smash the shit out of it.
Yep. Easy one. Easy as hell, baby.
There you go.
So I guess very long-winded. By the way, this is crazy to me, Mike. You shouldn't be able to do this right now. And I'm this is why I think it's very difficult, and I wouldn't trust generality speaking. I'll tell you this offseason, Mike, I think I'll probably be a little bit more in the buyer's market than anything as far as Marvin Harrison Jr. goes. Mm-hmm. You tell me that if I can go from Marv to the 101 and then maybe I get 104 to Saquon, however you want to look at this, right? Tesla doesn't matter here. This is a big boon probably for getting that 101, because I think the difference in 101 to 104 at the moment is craziness, man. It really is.
The real question is, do you believe in the Eagles' offense bouncing back and Saquon having, one or two more, like the Derrick Henry career path, kind of with Saquon?
I believe Saquon the person, the talent, the Saquon bar. I believe, Mike, there's not going to be a singular running back in the history of my dynasty life that I'm willing to bet on aging miraculously.
Right. That's fair. That's fair.
He's a fucking creative player. And you know what the greatest part? Every time for Saquon, it feels like we doubt him. Remember, don't forget what happened last year, an offseason ago. Good night, Mike. I had to fight the good fight. I mean, I lost a lot of good men. I was bad last, that offseason. But that Saquon, buddy, I had to fight it,
I would say if you look at Marv versus Saquon as far as production, you want to look at WARP or what it means to you. If I have a contending roster, listen, I'll probably take Saquon. Long-term dynasty value, I want the Marv side.
Agreed.
Really, if we were doing this on the trade show, Adam, I would say, listen, no matter which side you're on, they're pretty close to canceling out as far as.
But that's why the 101 makes it so ridiculous. The 101 to 104 here is everything.
Dude, all I got to do is add Tesla to the fucking 104 to go to 101.
Because I think this is the other thing. It's funny. Someone was asking about the trade show. When is the next deal show? It's a good question, Sean. It's a very warranted question. I also have another question for you to start. I'll get to here, but I will say, Mike, when you go to this one, see what makes this so dynasty trade easy, right? Marv, I think, is an asset that if I want to shoot my shot on one of the guys that could, have a big value bump and surge into the elite tier still. You can go back and look in my clips. Okay, I said that last year. All right, he didn't, so I'm not going to say it's guaranteed. But if you want to take that shot, it's Marv. Mike, if you told me there's a player that I can replace, right? I think a Marvin Harrison Jr., even in a lineup league, is someone you can replace if you want to. So, Mike, think about this for a second. You get Jeremiah Love and Saquon Barkley, dude. That's going from the 104 to Marv, or 104 and Marv to that is massive. Jeremiah Love is the creme de la creme of this offseason. If there's a player you want to get this offseason, it's fucking Jeremiah Love.
Which I will end up doing a lot of more in-depth warp content this offseason too, while I got a little more free time and just talking about it. But the trend for the last 2 years has been running backs have been running fantasy football circles.
Look at Genty.
Championships are built
around
these last 2 years.
Genty's price last year, where his price is going to be this year, and that's coming off of not the greatest season. Jeremiah Love's price is going to be as gold solid as gold is. I mean, honestly, this offseason, it's going to be great.
And you talk about some of these places that these early mock drafts have them going, right? They got them in the first round, which is great for us, right? First round running backs.
First round's happening.
Warp and S tier.
First round's happening. I think top 10 is probably going to happen.
I do think they're probably a little lower on where he's going to end up, especially if he goes out and performs at the combine like I think he can. If that guy goes out and runs
like I know he can. Dude, Mike, if he doesn't run, here's the thing. If he doesn't run very well, I think it's mainly more of his lack of training or not being the greatest at the 40. I mean, there's no lie about his – the 40-yard dash is a very technical event, right? If you look at his speed score, the dude is fucking – he flies. I mean, period.
We dove into that. There's a great short out there where I was comparing him to Achan, like I said.
Sure, yeah, on them. I forgot.
Granted, different. Achan's an Olympic-level sprinter. But their high school times – you can mix him up. He's in the ballpark. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
He's got blazing speed.
HN, the fucking guy can fly. But I've seen a lot of people have him in mock drafts so far. Somewhere in that like 15 to 19 range. Adam, I'm with you. I think we might approach top 10 for him.
I think realistically, because the class also doesn't have a lot of, kind of similar to last year in a way, right? It doesn't have a lot of super highly desirable names at the top, which puts a guy like Love potentially higher, especially as the events start happening more and more, right?
Well, let's just think about some potential landing spots for Jeremiah Love and then future casting dynasty outlook.
Don't rock hard these people even more. Goodness.
I'm just talking teams kind of in that range, so I'm going to start at 7. Okay. Commanders.
No. JCM, we hate you.
Saints, Kellen Moore, Saquon Barkley.
Hey, hold on, wait. We got a question here. Is Kamara cooked? This
yes.
would certainly cook the fuck out of Kamara.
The Kansas City Chiefs. who Mel Kiper has taking Jeremiah Love at 9 in his mock draft.
Here's the thing, Mike. What did you talk about with Sky Moore? It doesn't matter who it is. That Chiefs thing just gets people crazy.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh. Sorry
the
about
Dallas
your Chase Brown.
Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys at 12. Fizz will say, we never draft running backs. I get it.
They might not, but that would go nuts.
They did. If they did.
Don't say it's beyond Jerry. It isn't.
The Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, here's the thing. The Vikings is about, say what you want, Mike. Just be honest. The J.J. McCarthy thing this year was about as flat gets, and that kind of ruins the whole. There's a little bit of stank over there. So that one is the least sexy for sure of the names you mentioned, I think.
The Carolina Panthers.
Yikes. Dude, you think about what Chuba and Rico have done in moments these last couple? Yikes.
And then just to piss Fizz off again, the Dallas Cowboys also pick at 20, so they got 2 opportunities potentially to take
Mike,
Jeremiah.
You want to piss Fizz off? How about they trade up? They use both those picks to trade up and secure the kid early.
At like 6.
Yes. Zeke Elliott all over.
Really just piss him off. They trade both those picks to the Cleveland Browns so they could take Jeremiah Love at 6. Adam, let's make it
Cleveland's
happen.
been trading back, Fuck it, let's go.
Make it happen. Let's make it happen. But there's some very intriguing landing spots within that range if you were to go there, Adam, where you're like, I say 205 kind of feels like in a down class where he could go, but live in a world where he ends up going, 8th, 9th. If he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs at 9th, you're talking about a guy. We're going to project it out. If he goes 9 to the Kansas City Chiefs, Adam, people are taking him at the 110, the 111 in startups.
Here's the thing, right? If it happens to me now, I think at the end of the day, if it's top 15, it will kind of feel the same for the Dynasty gamer. But to me specifically, the number 10 and top 10 drafted players. You say what you want about Genty this year, right? And Genty, we will point to, is easily the worst performing of the top 10 guys, right? But like even Christian McCaffrey, if you think about it, his rookie year. Now, granted, that was a different situation than Genty, but was being used not as a primary like bell cow back. Look at him. I mean, the top 10 performing draft picks are just you can't miss. I mean, honestly, Genty's as missed as it gets. And again, he was as bad as he was, he still gave you pop weeks this year. So. If he goes top 10 to me, it's absolutely wheels the fuck up.
We talked about it on hit rate charts, S-tier running backs, right? Guys with top 10 draft capital.
Yeah.
How quickly they hit
and they don't
numbers.
They haven't missed as far as none of them have been duds.
No, top. So Genty is like right on the borderline of top 12 hit rate within his first 3 seasons, and he's done it already in his rookie year. Right. 52% hit rate for a top 12 and RB1 season within his first 3 years. Genty's still on track for that very easily. So, like those S-tier running backs that we talked about are fucking gold. And it was the only thing. DB, shout out to you. Can't wait till you do your updated hit rates for this season, and we talk about it again and see if the numbers have changed at all. But it was the only thing that kept me and made me on air tell you, listen, I love Cam Ward. Listen, I'm a quarterback guy, 101, but you should probably be taking Ashton Genty.
It is funny though. It is funny because DB gave you the hit rate data, the like actual data sheet. I put a graphic in front of you that gave you what those players the last like 15 years were. They were like, it's all smashes. That doesn't move the guy. I need the hard facts. It's like your dad, right? I need the newspaper. I need the paper. Damn it, give me the real thing.
Give me the real thing. I don't want to read it on my phone. I need the hard copy.
Shit, exactly. Okay, 12-team Superflex start 10. Mike, let's get through a few of these and we'll bounce. Mike's got an early morning. Set the 209 and a 306 for an early to mid 27 second. Would you send a 205 for a random 27? So I think that's a good question. I think that's a good question that I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I have a right or wrong answer for to be frank. I can see it either way.
The first one, like especially if you're projecting already out early to mid, like you kind of look at this guy's team or his management history and you're like, yeah, this is definitely on the earlier side.
Right. A chance to be a non-playoff team. Yeah.
The first one I'm very comfortable doing with. And while Adam and I will both attest, the 205 doesn't move a whole lot of needle. It's right at the end of the threshold of second round picks I give a shit about. And everything after that, I don't really care. We talked about it in season. I'd rather just buy points
Yep.
If I'm on a contending roster, I'd rather if I got to move it, I know I need to move it at some point. The only thing I would say about doing it right now, the 205 for a random 27-second, is let the hype build just a little bit. Let me see if there's somebody that they're going to fall in love with a mid-second round pick and see if I can get more down the road. I don't feel like I have to do it right now.
Yeah, the argument I think is a couple things, right? Now, Mike, I don't know if you had a decos there, maybe you could pull it up just to give me what after draft capital was like Luther Burden. To me, Luther Burden is a perfect example of the 205. He may not be ADP the 205, okay, but I think after post NFL draft he's kind of close, frankly. And here's the reason I say I use that as just this year's example. But I think one of the things there's two things to think about for the 205. One, that pick is going to put you right. Thinking about it in the 12-team league, that's pick 17, and right there's two scenarios. One, you're a couple picks behind, like you're in a very advantageous trade-up spot, right? So let's say there's a player that's falling and he goes to the 203 and you're at the 205. You might be able to convince for almost nothing, or I don't want to say nothing, but you can add something light to get to that player that you believe shouldn't have made it to the 203, number one. Number two is there's also a chance that a player in that range during your draft falls and you're at the position of, do I just smash this player, or do you take another offer where you're just throwing that away for a random 27 feels a little bit soon? But go ahead.
8-10.
Burden, 8-10. So he was probably, for a rookie draft, it's probably, like an early second. But that's kind of my point, is this is right in that range. And the third option is, let's say you can't actually trade out of it. The 205 is a perfect player range, even in a down class, in my opinion, Mike, where what happens for teams that have to rebuild during the year? Think about this year, the teams that thought they were contenders that weren't, or they're just not in a prime position. They have to come sniffing for these, Luther Burden types, guys that end up doing something. If you have a player that doesn't do anything early but starts to have a late rise in the, second half of their season, think Jaden Reed years past. This is that specific range where the player has a lot of, I think, let's call it ignitability, right? Flammability. The range that player can go up to is huge. I'm looking to trade probably out of that player if it does, but I think, Mike, this is right on the precipice of I'd probably rather have the 205, frankly.
Yeah, you talked about like Luther Burden was right in that range, and right after the draft he was 808, so he fell just a little bit as the ADP went on, because my first search was let's do May all the way up till September. Okay. I just did May to June. Let's look at it with rookies. He ended up at the 808. Guys after that, depending on your situation, whether you're rebuilding or whether you're contending, that were taken after Luther Burden, kind of that range for value. You're looking at Ricky Pearsall, Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton, Sam Darnold, Tucker Kraft, DeAndre Swift.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to get players of note. Kyle Pitts in the 10th round, Travis Etienne in the 10th round. Like all guys, if you were on the contending side, you're like, would I rather have taken that 205, or what could have that 205 have kind of bought me at the time? And some of these guys are multiple rounds. We're talking like 2 rounds after Luther Burden went. So if you want to factor in a down draft class and people shitting on it, it's like, still, if I'm on a contending roster, I'd rather take my shot on like one of these guys for point scoring than just a random 27 seconds. So I think we kind of echoed the same sentiment. If it's right now and you're telling me, I'm holding the 205 until I get a lot more clarity on what this class is. And I think at any time, whether I want to pivot to a 27 random second, or if I rather just pivot into, let me try to get some actual point scorers who are devalued, because there's going to be a lot of those guys who are 9th, 10th round picks where you're like, fuck, this is slam dunk. I'm still young enough to remember like 2 years ago where Derrick Henry was a 9th round startup pick, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And then also goes on to like an RB4 season.
Sean, hopefully you watch this back, because this was in the early part. I feel like seemingly he's gone. If you're here with us, Sean, give us a quick live comment. But either way, Mike, on this, the one last thing I'll say is this, right? I think some of the narratives can be on point, but also overblown given what the market can do, right? Here's the problem with this at the end of the day too. Why I think I wouldn't do this. Mike, I think it's probably a prudent move as much as you and I talk about the rookie hype and all that, to get out of, the mid picks in this class and just go to 27s, right? Because of what the fucking hype is, okay, right? In the first round. But this is a second round pick, y'all. I'm telling you right now, the classes that are super fucking loaded, because you give me random as well, the super loaded classes, the mid to late seconds don't smash. It's not 24 deep of just, oh my God, blue bloods, right? That's not how this works. You're going to end up drafting a player more often than not in that type of a class because you're like, holy crap, I have to have this. So I don't think I would make this trade, actually. The more I said I could make a case either way, I think I'm starting to convince myself it's 205.
Even in 2024, which was a loaded fucking class with 6 quarterbacks in the first
the
round.
early seconds, you probably had some smash hits, right? But the mids to lates, it falls off a fucking cliff, dude.
I mean, you were looking at what? Adonai Mitchell, Marshawn Lloyds, the Jalen Polks of the world. This is why we did that 40 chess episode a month ago.
Yeah, you missed those great players, and you reached on these,
For every time everyone's like, well, I got Bo Nix in the second round, or I got Michael Penix in the second round. That was awesome. Go look a few picks later at 206 and 207 who those guys were taking.
Right, those cost you early seconds. The 204 I think was the latest, right? There was like in that class, which was super deep, by the way. Okay, 6 quarterbacks made that so deep in Superflex. Like there was 16 picks that were, going to be hard to miss.
It got pretty fucking bad, man. It got pretty fucking bad once you got to the mid round. You're like, what the fuck?
So yeah,
Blake Corum, Jalen Polk, Marshawn Lloyd, Adonai Mitchell, Ray Davis, Jermaine Burton.
Yeah, remember someone got a first for that player though. We'll say that.
Some asshole did.
Some douchebag. One of our most viewed videos, still hilarious to me. 12 team, start 10, 1 PPR, so vanilla scoring. Would you do Puka for Garrett Wilson, Ladd in the 112?
I didn't see a Superflex in here, so that changes it a little bit. And no Superflex, yes, very, very easily. I would take Puka for.
All right, let's go Superflex just for the the non-easy.
Man, at start 10 is like right on the fucking borderline.
I do this with a caveat. I do this with a caveat. I do the Puka side with a caveat, right? You're a true contender that has built up the ability to do this. I think one of the big things is I think in this format, Mike, it's important to get the Pukas, right? The problem is you could have paid up. See, you could have very easily paid up for Garrett Wilson a year ago like he was a Puka, right? Ladd is, depending on when you purchase him. So what does the rest of your roster look like? And is this going to completely nuke and make your roster fucked everywhere else, right? Because here's the thing. Puka, as great as he's been, and I still think he's an absolute stud. I'm not arguing anything negative about him other than the fact that Stafford is, been attached to him. And what does he look like, without him? Mike, I think the answer to me is Puka with a small asterisk of as long as I'm not like cooking my entire team here doing this,
If you've got an Adam level goon squad, yes. If you're not in Superflex, which Jovanik just said it is Superflex.
I figured it would be, yeah.
I'm taking the 3 pieces for the 1.
Okay.
Because almost universally across the board, as good as Puka is, as good as Josh Allen is, as good as Lamar Jackson is, how many times do we have to do it on the trade show where we see one player for essentially 3 firsts, which this, by all accounts, is more than 3 firsts, right? Garrett Wilson's more than just a single first. Ladd's worth more than a single first. The 112 is almost,
Ladd
really
in the 112 in this one, though, is where it makes it tough for me because Ladd's one of these assets I think that could go either way. McDaniel maybe reopens this thing up and Ladd has a big value bump. Mike, but I think Ladd's market's kind of how do I want to phrase this? It's going to be very polar. I think Ladd has a market of there's a lot of people that don't believe at all, and there might be some truthers still out there. But I think Ladd in theory goes for more than a first, but I don't know that a lot of leagues are actually having that happen. I think 112 is still a first round pick, but I think you can just already see the writing on the wall. People are trying to get a 105 for a random first. But this 112 is not a fucking first round value at all here, man.
It's not. I think I would break Puka up into those 3 pieces in a Superflex league unless I already had, and we do have, not toot our own horn. I didn't win with this fucking thing, but we do have a couple dude, I got 9 fucking receivers, right? I got a couple studs, and then I got, a bunch of lads. I got a bunch of Garrett Wilsons. I could use one more fucking Puka, and I can trade this 112 and Garrett Wilson and Lad and go get a Puka, and I can stomach this. I can go for it. But I would say for most rosters, 95% of rosters, I think I'd rather prefer the 3 pieces versus the 1 Puka.
I think in this format, Mike, it really is important to get the Pukas. So I think, to me, again, this is going to come down to, as long as I'm not nuking it to the point where, okay, you got Puka, you got maybe one other stud, and it's dude, you're fucking yourself here pretty bad. I think I want the Puka because of how it's hard to typically get them for these type of players. Just be careful, though. I mean, this is one of those trades that you love it now, but then you realize, okay, shit, Garrett Wilson, actually was pretty good this year while healthy. We might be better next year. If you get any of these players in the range warp-wise of a Puka, you've lost.
The only other thing I hate about consolidating to 1, especially in January, is we have so much off-season before point scoring happens. And while I don't think something bad, and I hope nothing bad happens to Puka, we are an injury away, we're a suspension away, we're a bad girlfriend away from...
The thing is, I'm going to be honest. This is one of those 2 where I think at the current stage, to your point, yes, there's definitely... Mike, in this current Superflex stage, though, Mike, Puka and JSN are 4 and 5 asset-wise. Mike, if this is Drake May, how much are you smashing this? It's not even fucking close, and just be honest. Just be honest.
It's not.
So the current state of Dynasty says Bijan Robinson is the number 1 overall player at 9,999 right now.
Dude, Stefansky, man.
But
I love him.
But my point is, Mike, there's 2 quarterbacks ahead of these guys. So Puka is about as a desirable asset as you could have it. It's all offseason. He might be movable for... I mean, it's actually kind of crazy looking at this. I'm telling you, this offseason, Mike, is going to be, in my opinion, the weirdest and most different market we've ever seen since playing the game. I really believe that in Superflex because, Mike, just let me read this. Let me read Keep Trade Cut for everybody real quick, okay? Bijan, Josh Allen, Drake May. There's your top 3. Jackson Smith and Jigba 4, Puka 5, Jamar Chase 6, Gibbs 7, Neighbors 8, Trey McBride 9, J-Day 10. So J-Day barely gives you a third quarterback in the top 10. Bowers 11, Amon-Ra 12, Lamar 13, CD 14, Caleb Williams 15, Jefferson 16, A-Chain 17, Burrow 18, London 19, Genty 20. Mike, 20 players, the top 20 in Superflex. I think that's 6 quarterbacks.
Yep.
I'm telling you, this offseason is going to be a wild one. I'm telling you, it's going to be fucking crazy.
I want you to be proud of me, okay? Last night on Seth DeWalt, I always say his name wrong. Seth. I apologize.
It's all good. Seth knows you love him.
You're a Midwest guy, too. To us Midwesterners, we're dumb. It's DeWalt. It's DeWalt, people out there. On his mock draft, Adam, listen, I fully went in with the plan. You just talked about there's only 3 quarterbacks in the top 10 or whatever. I'm like, man, I'm going to hit so many fucking Superflex quarterbacks in this. We're back. I'm riding this train. I picked up the 111, Adam. You know what my start was? You take a guess?
I got a bad feeling. Quarterback?
Nope.
Oh.
Jackson Smith and Jigba, Malik Neighbors.
Wow. I was expecting them to force your hand. I love that for you.
That's why you got to be water, man. Be fluid. I fully was like, man, I'm going to smash the shit out of, Joe Burrow or Jaden Daniels or Lamar.
So think about in this format, Mike. You get to trade your late 3rd, early 4th, your 5th, and this is a fucking 10th at this point, 11th.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think
Puka,
you're wrong at all.
You go Puka, right?
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong at all.
I don't want to be right. I just want Puka to be the answer. I think Mike Puka's in this desirable tier of just – I think you could look back in a year from now and not like it. But I think you could look back in a year from now and be like, fuck, I had a chance to get Puka and I fucked up.
I also recommend to people doing that mock draft. Sleepers ADP right after the season.
It's a shit show. It's a shit show right now.
So fucked up. It is the greatest time if you have any sense in you to do a.
Dude, you know what? You know what's so funny about this too? There's a lot of content. I like to let January kind of digest a lot of things and think through them really well before I'm spewing out content, in the off season, because it's easy to do. But like one of the things that is typically true, right? Whether you pay attention to WARP or not, it's so closely correlated to point scoring, right? PPR and what your points per game is, that it's so interesting to watch, because the quarterback fall is just so closely going to be tied to points per game scoring and WARP this year. Like it just is going to be. This is going to be the quarterback year of when we started doing drafts, when it was like you could get quarterbacks at a stupid discount. I remember it was like running back in that first round. This is actually crazy as fuck to see, just because the reason I say that, it's so interesting, right? Quarterbacks as a whole being down. Think about this. Justin Jefferson just gave us an absolute dumpster fire season. Worthless. Still wide receiver 7, asset 16. Right? So it's like there's always these little, exceptions, I guess. It's just interesting that the entire quarterback position has been, kind of cast off, but we haven't done it to the players that necessarily failed at other positions yet, right?
I didn't actually, really fail. Yeah, right. It's wild.
Yeah.
Yep, you'll love me, man. The quarterback guy who's out here preaching quarterback, I did a mock draft last night. JSN Neighbors, Tet McMillan. First 3 picks.
My work here is done. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Who'd you get to? Just to talk about this, who'd you end up getting at QB? This will be interesting discussion too.
Oh, well, kind of to be determined, because then I went rookies, right? Rookie picks, extremely devalued. I got the 102.
Another good thing is that you have to remember, like, we're not, even though it's fun to have your roster filled out, in Dynasty, mock or not, I don't necessarily have to have QBs. I don't have to go compete, right?
The only quarterback on the fucking roster, officially quarterback on the roster for this one, Bryce Young, 7th round.
Yikes! We have we've got a next year rebuild. The only thing is that sometimes those teams, you either rebuild for like a year or two, right? Retool, or you find yourself like without a quarterback for a few weeks, like in a good spot, and other teams that thought they were really good aren't, and now you're like, maybe I can get a QB for cheap, or you find one off the wire or some stupid shit,
I got the GOAT coming at 104, man. Fernando.
That's a different conversation for another day. Been struggling with the consolidation and with Mike Daniels. I feel like I should be able to command more. Yeah, no, I think that's
the only hesitancy on Ladd. We have the bad taste this year in the mouth.
Ladd certainly is, a tough one. I tend to believe, Mike, he's not. I struggled with his value last season, or after last season. Let me say, sorry. I struggled with it being real there. To your point, if he ends up getting to be that alpha, you're right. You could really hate this. Even with the resurgence from him this year, I feel like he's never going to make it to – I shouldn't say never, but unlikely to make it to that, like, damn, Ladd is fucking one of them ones, like, that's going to trade – you see people trading those 3 assets like we just saw for Puka. Again,
come on, man.
I missed it before.
Mikey McD is going to turn him into 2 years ago Tyreek Hill.
Watch they fucking with Mikey McD, they take another receiver round 1 or some shit this year.
No. Oh no!
You think shit can't get messy? Wait till you see this.
Oh fuck! Oh no!
Well, I don't want to make anyone else vomit before we leave, so we'll stop doing that. We love you, Mike. You have anything before we get out of here, buddy?
No. Just really looking.
11-11. Make a wish.
Yeah, 11 for you. I'm on God's time. It's God's country over here. Right?
I love that. That's
Central
true. You're
time.
in Central Time. Yep.
It's 10-11.
The Big Apple, right? Eastern. You have East Coast time, right, or EST, and then you have New York, which is like it's also East Coast time, just to let you know. But
it's the same thing.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. No, I'm excited for this offseason. There's a lot to dive into. We had a lot of questions already on the rookie class. Tomorrow night, tomorrow night, first film session, patreon.com/South Harmon. You want to check it out? $1 tier. It's all you need. All you need. But we're going to dive into Jordan Tyson. We're just going to start near the top. I'd say the top, but near the top. We'll start diving into one of mine and Xbox's favorite wide receivers in this class, Jordan Tyson. See what we come up with, man. I watched a lot of film on him last year when we were scouting some other players, and Tyson popped off like, oh, who the fuck's this guy? So it'd be interesting to dive into him, but that's just the first step, man.
I don't want to say Tyson is him, but in this class, he's him. Tyson's fucking nice.
Might be him. So that offseason content, look for shorter rookie videos for myself. Like after I start diving into these guys, I'll give you the recap, right? In case you don't want to join the Patreon, you want to stay free, that's fine.
Yeah.
YouTube channel right here. We'll have a Jordan Tyson video coming for me very, very shortly.
Love it.
Adam, everything else we're doing, we got the trade show to bring back. People making deals. We got leagues renewed. We got dues due like that. People got to pay up their dues. A lot of good off.
Pay that man his money.
College football season's over, man. Congrats to Indiana. What a fucking turnaround. I never thought I'd see the day where Indiana is the national champion of football.
The Rich Eisen show was actually, I don't really tune into it, honestly, but the breakdown, he had a little 10-minute deal. You go rewind and then fast forward. So 2024 first game, right, after he just got freshly hired from James Madison, there's about 90% of the stadium just completely empty week one.
Right.
Like, Indiana doesn't even fucking care, you know?
Now their fans are taking over Miami's home stadium in the national championship. Like that stadium was so loud for fucking Indiana fans. It was ridiculous. I'm like, this shit's being played in Miami for fuck's sake.
Honestly, though, Mike, I think it's pretty cool. It's at least really cool to see that in the start of the NIL world, which is, you know, theoretically, what everyone's initial thoughts were going to be, it's just going to be the rich getting richer. It's actually crazy. But anyway, we will next week we're going to be in between, right? The week leading up to the Pro Bowl, which honestly, Mike, can we just get rid of it? I'm there.
Please.
Let's just give them awards. Let's give them the Pro Bowl award. You made it to the just get rid of the event. It's so stupid at this point. It's a complete waste. But leading up to the Pro Bowl, we'll have some maybe 26 talk. We'll figure out what to do for that week. But trust me, the end of the Super Bowl, when the Super Bowl's over, it's you'll see your league dues getting paid. You'll see your leagues kind of getting pushed into renew. And man, this is the time to get active. This is the time to get reacquired into your dynasty love. If that's for you, listen, we have anything from $1 to, I believe it's $25 a month. Patreon.com/South Harmon. A lot of dynasty content, a lot of good people in there, a lot of chaotic and eventful discussions. So check that out. Otherwise, we will see you back here, same time, same place next week for the AMA. We are out of this thing. Peace.